Good evening, everybody. What's going on, Olaf? Guys doing all right?
Hey, doing well.
Shin, Design Lizard, Otter, doing okay?
Doing good today.
Great,
Good,
great.
good.
Welcome, everyone.
Yes.
It's our first session of our Master of Dungeons Presents Keys from the Golden Vault. Tonight, we're going to be doing what's called a Session Zero. For those of you that may not be familiar with what a Session Zero is that we're going to have Design Lizard, Shin, and Otter are going to be making their characters. Tonight, we're going to be making their backgrounds, putting together their characters' backstory. Kind of not necessarily putting those fully together, but getting that from Xanathar's Guide to Everything for them to start working on their background. We'll probably introduce that a little bit next week when we have our first official session, which we will, of course, Keys from the Golden Vault comes out this Tuesday. And we will be, of course, starting that session next week. We are going to be playing Adventurers League rules. For those of you that are not familiar with Adventurers League, let me go ahead and put in. You can join, of course, our Discord channel if you want, right down below us. There's Discord. You can click on the actual panel for Discord there, and that will allow you to join our community Discord server. But if you want to, and you'll find a section if you go through and click on that you want to see Adventurers League stuff. It'll open up a text room there where you'll have all of the Adventurers League documents. But you can also go to that link there that I just shared in chat that will give you all of the documents for Adventurers League. Basically, what Adventurers League is it's a organized play system for D&D. What it allows is you to take your character as a player to different games. As long as you keep your Adventurers League logs for each session you play Adventurers League legal adventures, modules, stuff like that. You can go play at your local game store. You can take that same character and take it to a convention. You can also import it online and play online with people that are playing Adventurers League. As a DM, there's also some information in there for the different documents if you want to be a DM to run Adventurers League. So as we're making the characters tonight, we'll be explaining a little bit about how Adventurers League works. As Otter has not played Adventurers League yet, Shin and Design Lizard have played a lot of Adventurers League games with me. So we will be explaining that kind of as we go. Also, any mechanics, if anyone is new that happens to be that might tune in, we'll go ahead and help with some of the rules. Basically, Adventurers League is rules as written. There's a few variants that are in the Adventurers League documents. As I mentioned, you can find them in our Discord or the link shared in the chat. But it's pretty much rules as written, a couple different variants. So you can't use different variants, like if you wanted to use flanking rules, things along those lines. If you wanted to use variant familiars, you can't really use those, but you can still use everything that's written in the books and the rules as written. Generally, most stuff is pretty straightforward. Of course, there is a little bit of DM interpretation. If you want to look into how to interpret those rules, you can also check our Discord for the sage advice, which comes from Wizards of the Coast themselves. You're not required to use it as a DM playing Adventurers League, but you're encouraged to use it if you have questions about different rules, different rulings, things like that. All right. So we're making our characters. First level characters, tier 1, always fun. We are going to be playing Keys from the Golden Vault, which is going to be, I believe, 11 different adventures. It is available, I think, for early access on D&D Beyond right now. I have not read it. I don't want to spoil it because I believe that on our Tuesday show, when the book goes live, I'm going to have it for my Roll20, and we're going to probably discuss that during our Dungeons and Deliberations stream on Tuesday night. So let's go ahead and get into making the characters. We are using Roll20 as our VTT. I do have all of my compendiums shared for all three of our players for tonight, and they are going to be using the Charactermancer to create their characters. Charactermancer is simple and easy. If you have all the books and you purchased them through Roll20, it makes it really simple and easy. If you use it outside of that, you will have to have a little bit of a manual import to make your character and such like that. So the first thing we want to do is we want to discuss I always like to, when I'm creating a character, I like to discuss what race or species, lineage, heritage, stuff like that I want to play to start with. And then from there, I'll go with my background to figure out what background I want to play to get some extra stuff, and then decide finally what my character class is. However you guys want to do it, however the rest of you want to do it as players, that is totally up to you. So let's discuss some different ideas. Again, keep in mind there's going to be heists. I think you can pretty much set them in different areas. Most likely, we're probably going to look for maybe something like Waterdeep or Baldur's Gate, maybe Neverwinter or someplace along the Sword Coast to place them. Depending on what the book comes out with, we might even go with like a place like Suzale or something along the lines, maybe around somewhere around the Moonsea. But we'll get to that next week once we get that. So, guys, what are some of the different character ideas you've been thinking about coming up with? Don't all speak at once.
Okay, I'll speak. Yes. I've never played a gnome.
Okay.
I thought a gnome is interesting, as a species, but I would like to go for something different, maybe even a deep gnome.
Okay. For Nebulin. I think his mic cut out there.
Whoop.
And as far as background, I'm still working that out.
You might cut out there a little bit. So you're talking about what
Okay,
class?
sorry.
You're all good.
Yeah, as far as the class, I didn't say yet. I was just saying the deep gnome was what I was thinking. But I thought, well, if we're doing a heist and I've never played a gnome, and maybe a rogue might be in order.
Oh yeah. I was thinking when it comes around to like different classes, especially for heists, anything that can help with any sort of subtle movements, like pass without trace for a ranger or a druid. Different types of things that will improve your stealth, sneak, obfuscation, things along those lines.
Oh, yes.
Even wizards would be great. You can even play a fighter, like we used to talk about always playing like old Thieves Guild types of games in D&D where the fighter could be a thug. They're the muscle for the heist.
Yeah.
What about you, Otter? What are you thinking about?
So I've been trying to make it a point to try a different class out every time I find myself in a new game.
Mm-hmm.
And I've had Ranger in my mind for a bit. Swarmkeeper sounds like a whole lot of fun. Just thematically, it gives a very fun flavor to the generic Ranger.
Mm-hmm.
Trying to decide on a race for it. I kind of build backwards. I usually go from class and then figure out race backgrounds that way.
Yeah.
But kind of debating between three right now. Possibly a turtle. Maybe a furbolg.
Okay.
And kind of leaning towards a Harengon.
Oh yeah.
They seem like they would be real useful for heist situations.
Oh yeah. Especially their ability to leap.
Mm-hmm. They may be small, but they can get up into the higher areas really easily.
Yeah. What about you, Design Lizard? What have you been thinking about?
So, skimming through my list of characters: rogue thief, ranger rogue, bard, rogue, fighter, bard, rogue. So I'm going with the wizard. Closest thing I've had to a caster is the bard, and obviously I want to try to play the heists without playing my standard rogue character. So I'm looking at the wizard realm, and actually it's really weird out of all the races in this crazy game that Don and I are both thinking gnome, Swerfneblin. I'm pretty sure that's where I'm going to go, but as we click through the character mancer, I'll see where it takes me.
Yeah,
just a bunch of little fellas stealing stuff.
Yeah. Oh yeah. small-sized characters kind of sneaking through everywhere. Plus, even with your character backstory, you can even have maybe you and Dantashin Lizard can be like brothers or cousins or brother and sister or twins or related in some way or just childhood friends. Something along those lines that would help. With getting
So I
the
was
character.
thinking of all those. All those
Say
sound
what?
great. Or we could have grown up. Surf Nebulous don't have high school, but we could have grown up on opposite ends of town as the frenemies.
They were both
We're
on the
very
varsity
familiar,
team.
very
Yeah.
cool with each other, but we're always trying to do the one up. Maybe I don't know.
Something like that.
Oh,
Which is
it's
what
like
we're
the
wanting to do also.
dads doing the barbecues down the street.
Yeah, because what we're wanting to do also is when we're putting together the backstories and stuff is trying to intermix and make sure that the characters already know one another before we begin play. Because it's kind of slow when you begin play, as I've in my experience at least, is when you don't have the characters know one another, you end up spending too much time at the beginning of an adventure. Hey, you all walk into a bar separately. Now you have to figure out how you're going to know one another, how you're going to interact. Like, how do you get these people to know one another? So we're going to go ahead and get that out of the way. That way, the players or the characters, I should say, know each other when we begin play, and then we can just get right into the story and all of the hijinks and heists that go with Keys from the Golden Vault. So let's go ahead first. First thing you want to do, if you already have an idea for your class, so I think we're going Rogue, Wizard, and Ranger to start with. So what we can do is go ahead and open in Roll20. Go ahead and open your character sheets. You should all have a character sheet in your journal.
Yeah.
And then what we'll do is the first thing you'll do is we're going to go with, hold on a second. Let me grab a quick character. We'll open the Character Mancer and walk you all through it. So what we'll do is obviously you're going to go ahead and click Next to begin. And then the first thing you're going to want to do is choose your race. And if you open that up, again, as I mentioned, I have shared my compendium, so all of those races that you were looking for should be available for you as well. Deep Gnome is in there. Furbolg, Herongon, those both should be in there as well. Once you select that, it does.
I think
and now, of
we're
course,
just gonna wing it. I'm gonna grab a D12 out of 1 through 3. It's gonna be a turtle.
Right.
3 through or 4 through 4. Yeah, split it into 3s. Yeah, 4 each. So turtle on the bottom, Herongon in the middle, Furbolg at the top.
nice. Let the chaos with the dice.
I'm all here for chaos. Let the dice decide.
Yeah.
Best way to do it.
The dice have decided a 7, so that is a Herongon.
All right. Perfect.
All right.
You're gonna have to drink a lot of coffee between each session, so you're fired up like the rabbit folk are.
Oh, I wish coffee did that to me. If I started front loading on coffee, I'd be falling asleep on stream.
Oh, okay.
Well, then
so
just talk fast and blink a lot.
So what we can also do is that they do have the standard ability score increases in the Character Mancer. We can always adjust those after your character's completed. If you like, for example, if you're playing an elf, it automatically adds a +2 to your dexterity score. You can always change that later on. Once we get
have a question.
Sure.
It shows 2 listings for Herongon for the races. One is from Wild Beyond the Witchlight. One is from Monsters of the Multiverse.
Okay. I would suggest you go ahead and use the one from the Monsters of the Multiverse because Wild Beyond the Witchlight came out before Monsters of the Multiverse, if I recall. And we always, for Adventures League, you always have to use the most recent version of the rules. I do not believe they changed between the two. So yes, definitely if Monsters of the Multiverse is available for your character's race, go ahead and select that.
Beautiful. Just checking. Yeah.
I don't think anyone had, I think we had 2 Deep Gnomes and 1 Herongon, so you shouldn't have to worry about any sub race or anything like that. So once you've selected your race, go ahead and then choose all of the different. You choose your alignment, things along those lines. Keep in mind that in Adventurers League you cannot play evil, so you cannot play lawful evil, neutral evil, or chaotic evil. They used to allow lawful evil, but a lot of people would kind of abuse that, so they just went ahead and got rid of it altogether. So you have to play either a good or neutral character. Chaotic neutral is still always out there. Keep your options on the table.
Yeah. If we're stealing stuff, chaotic neutral kind of seems the way to go.
There you go.
Yeah.
True neutral. Chaotic good is a good one as well. But if you have any choices about different skills or things like that you might get from your race, go ahead and select those. Then once you're all finished up there, we can move on to the next section.
Okay. Is there really a big difference between playing a medium and a small creature?
Small creatures, there's a few different rules, obviously, not just an adventure, just D&D is in general. You have more difficult time grappling things if you're smaller. Keep in mind, there's something that a lot of people, a rule that a lot of people overlook in 5th edition, which is if you're a small creature and you use a heavy weapon, you have disadvantage on your attack rolls. You're going to play a ranger as a Herringon, and you choose a small Herringon, you will have disadvantage with the longbow because the longbow is considered a heavy weapon.
Mm-hmm. I was planning on going medium. I just figured it would be a good question to throw out there for one, my knowledge, and for two, the lovely people in chat.
Yeah, I've had a few players come to like conventions to sit down and play an Adventurers League game, and I actually had a couple of gnomes, not deep gnomes, they were forest gnomes, that were brothers, and one of them was a rogue, one of them was a ranger, and they both used longbows. And I said, "Hey guys, I have no problem, for this, situation here at the convention. I just do want to let you know that normally your characters would have disadvantage." And they're like, "Oh man, I had no idea about that," and they went through and went ahead and changed their characters. But yeah, if it's small creatures do have disadvantage with heavy weapons on their attack rolls.
Makes sense. You're just little.
Yeah.
Just a little
You're smaller.
Anyone have any good thoughts on language?
Well, like I said, we're going to probably be playing somewhere in the Sword Coast. Like I said, I have not even had I have not peeked at the D&D Beyond version of it yet. I do know the names. I do know that they start at 1st level and they go up to 11th level, but that's about it. So I always recommend, if you're a wizard, Draconic is always a excellent language for wizards to know. With it being the Sword Coast, Giant Tongue's not too bad. Orcish Goblin isn't too bad as well. If you look at the cover of the Keys from the Golden Vault, you've got halflings. It looks like you've got an elf or a human. You got a closet on there as well. So, yeah, maybe abyssal or infernal, something like that. Always good for wizards. I also recommend Primordial a lot, just because Primordial can get a lot of languages all in one. Like if you speak something that speaks Auran or Ignan or something like that, the different elemental languages, if you speak Primordial yourself, you're able to understand those other languages and communicate with them. And then after we've got our languages and all that selected, I'll have they won't be able to see it in the stream, but everyone give me a ready check when you're ready to move on to the next step of your character creation in the Charactermancer. For those of you joining in, we do have currently a Deep Gnome Wizard, a Deep Gnome Rogue, and a Herringon Ranger for the character, which is going to be great for a heist. I love them already.
I don't know. I'll grab Primordial. Why not? That's a weird language to have.
I think you start off knowing Sylvan, right, as a Herringon?
It just gives me common. Sylvan would be a good choice, though.
Yeah, Sylvan wouldn't be a bad.
Yeah. And then, where do I do a ready check?
Well, in the Roll20 chat, right there. And for those of you that are watching, perhaps if you're not familiar with Roll20, we're probably going to go over some Roll20 basics for DMs and players alike. Before the pandemic hit myself, I was a musician, and I was a karaoke jockey and a trivia guy. I'd go to different locations and play music, DJ, do karaoke and trivia. And then when the pandemic hit, I couldn't do any of that. And then I went back to Roll20, which I hadn't used in a few years, and it basically gave me a new career. So as a professional DM, so I think almost 7,000 hours in Roll20, and most of those in the last 3 years or so. So we're going to definitely do some Roll20 streams and help people out learning to navigate it. It does have a little bit of a steep learning curve, but we should be ready to go. All right, so next you will go ahead and choose your class. Since we already have our class chosen, you can go ahead and choose your class on there. Obviously, all the classes from the PH Handbook plus the one from the Artificer. Design Lizard, we're getting a little difficulties on your camera and stream.
All right.
It's a little choppy. So going through for the classes, of course, just go ahead and select your class that you're playing. It will have your proficiency already set up. It will have your like weapons and armor. Basically, go through and choose your skills. Keep in mind also that you will be getting skills from your background as well. So you can always go back in the Charactermancer to alter your skills from your class if you have some of those skills available for your background. One thing that Adventurers League does allow you to use as a variant rule from the Player's Handbook is you can create your own background. However, there are some rules to it. If you create your own background, you have to take a background feature from an established Adventurers League legal background. So something from the Player's Handbook, something from Tomb of Annihilation, or something from different books that Wizards of the Coast have put out that are Adventurers League legal for the Adventurers League campaign that you're playing, like we're going to be playing Forgotten Realms. And you take a background feature from one of those legal backgrounds. Then you take the equipment from one of those legal backgrounds. And you can choose any combination of, you can choose 2 skills and then any combination of 2 languages and 2 tools. And then basically kind of make up what your background is, like a Tundra Stalker if you were playing Icewind Dale, something along those lines.
Right.
But again, all of the legal ones are already in your compendium that you can choose from. Also, something in particular for you, Otter, is that Tasha's brought in a couple of different types of backgrounds, or not backgrounds, features, I should say, for the Ranger. So you can either go Natural Explorer or Deft Explorer. You can go with Favored Foe, or you can go with, I believe, a Favored Enemy is the other one that you can choose. Favored Foe is really great because it allows you to throw a little bit of extra damage each round. Favored Enemy is great because it allows you to have advantage on tracking whatever your favorite enemies are. Plus, with your favorite enemies, you also have a chance to learn languages from those as well.
Yeah, I was doing a bit of looking at it. I think I'll probably end up going Deft Explorer and Favored Foe.
Nice. I think Dontchin has the most selections of the skills from being a rogue.
Yeah, so far I've just going through them. It's a lot, but I've taken Perception, Persuasion, Insight, Investigation, and Thieves' Tools, Expertise, and Investigation Expertise.
Nice, very nice. Especially for heists, yeah, being an expert with Thieves' Tools and Investigation. Yeah,
I'm kind of thinking, if we're gonna do this,
something to keep in mind too. For Adventurers League, DMs do have like from Tasha's, you can use alternate skills with alternate abilities. A lot of times an adventure will call for perception, but I kind of myself sometimes will allow a player to use investigation instead of perception. A lot of times with passive perception, however, I use passive perception to represent what you're just aware of, not looking about, But if you want to make an active perception or you want to make an active investigation, I kind of allow that with different things. Like if you're looking for traps, you can investigate it, or you can just like do a perception check looking about. So I kind of let players have a little bit of leeway with interchanging those two skills.
Yeah. Ooh, Deft Explorer lets me double a proficiency of my choice.
Mm-hmm. Survival's always good for Ranger. Stealth is a great one for Ranger.
I was going to say, if we're stealing stuff, perception and stealth would be really nice for that, but I feel like stealth would be the better option there. Yeah. Let's go with that. And then 2 more languages.
Yeah, there you can pick up Sylvan if you haven't, or you can pick up Primordial there as well. One of the reasons I suggested the Draconic for the Wizard is because many things that you encounter, especially in 5th edition, some of the older editions as well, a lot of the arcane stuff comes from, is written in like the Draconic language and such, since the dragons were, the first to have magic, and the elves and such. So Elvish is always great, and Draconic is always great. All right, so once everyone, you're all good. If you're still picking things for your class, that's not a problem. But once you're finished up with that, go through and go ahead and select that you're in Roll20. Give me another ready check once you're all finished up. And then we'll get to what's called the ability scores. And for Adventurers League, for those of you watching that might not be familiar with Adventurers League, for Adventurers League, you use the point buy system from the Player's Handbook. You have 27 points to divide amongst your to use to purchase your stats for your strength, your dexterity, your con, and all of that. And once everyone's ready there, we will go ahead and step over to that. The Charactermancer does actually have the point buy system in there for you to do your stats, so it will keep track of your points for you, so you can go through and change things around a little bit. What I would suggest, to newer players that are new to Adventurers League, or even players that aren't playing Adventurers League that are using point buy, I would suggest to try to look at what your main stats are. Like for a ranger, would probably be dexterity and wisdom and dexterity, especially if you're firing things. For a wizard, I always say intelligence and constitution is really good for your concentration checks. Obviously, dexterity is great to improve your armor class as well. Obviously, for a rogue, dexterity, intelligence is really great as well, since they have a lot of intelligence-based skills, as well as, if you want to be that charismatic rogue, kind of the face or whatever, you can always look at charisma as a tertiary stat. But I would suggest when you're doing your point buy, is you keep in mind what you have your bonuses are from your character race or lineage. And make sure, like if you're going to put a 15, because 15 is the highest stat you can purchase in Adventurers League. But if you put something that you have a +2 to it, you put a 15 there, that would make it a 17. Keep in mind that the your bonus, your ability score bonus, is the same whether it's a 16 or a 17. So keep that in mind when you're ready to choose your ability scores.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm not really familiar with a deep gnome. I'm trying to find it. It's
If you actually scroll up in your Charactermancer to the top, it'll show you what you already have bonuses in.
Oh, duh. Okay, thanks. Yeah.
No worries. Worries.
There it is. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what we're here for. That's the whole thing, is not only getting the characters ready, but trying to help out and help people get information. Yeah.
Very cool. All right, back to abilities. Bye.
Yeah, Design Lizard, if you're lagging a little bit, you need to reload real quick. Feel free to do so. We can hold your place there in the stream. So yeah, once you go to, we'll go ahead and go to the next part and get the start the ability score methods. We'll get Design Lizard caught up once he gets reloaded, so he's not lagging as much. But if you go to ability score method, you will see point buy is one of the things you can choose and select And that will bring up your 27 points.
Awesome.
Yeah, I went ahead and let Design Wizard know he's lagging a little bit. Looks like his wife is on a Zoom call and his kids are all taking some bandwidth up too. I said, go ahead, reload. It's not a problem. It's not a problem.
Yeah. Bandwidth issues sometimes.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so for Ranger, I probably want to make sure I have high dex, and their spellcasting is Wisdom, I think?
Yes, their spellcasting is Wisdom.
Okay. So I'll
So
prioritize Dex, Wisdom, and then Con.
Okay. Yeah, that's a great one as well because I will help with your hit points. Especially if you're not really going to be using a lot of strength-based weapons. Like if you're dexterity-based, you can use versatile weapons. Like you can use something like a rapier or short swords or daggers that are really good that you can use either your dex or your strength for. What are your bonuses as a Harengon to your different stats?
It is, I put 2 points into Dex, 1 point into Wisdom.
Excellent. So what I might suggest, you don't have to follow the suggestion. What I might suggest is putting a 15 in your wisdom score and a 14 in your dexterity score. That way both of them will start off as a 16.
I was kind of on that same thought. Right now, using all of my points, strength at an 8, charisma at an 8, dexterity at a 15, which bumps it to a 17, intelligence at a 10, wisdom at a 15, which bumps it up to a 16, so I get that extra point in there, and then con at a 14.
Gotcha. Yeah. And what you could do is if you wanted to drop your dexterity from a 15 down to a 14, which will still give you the 16 to start, then it'll give you a couple extra points that you might be able to take one of those dump stats, either the charisma or the strength, and get it up to where you're not having a negative ability score modifier. But that's of course up to you, because if you do start off with a 17, when you get to 14th level and you get to select an ability score improvement, you can either improve something, 2 different things by 1 thing by 2, or you can even pick up a feat that might improve like your dexterity to give you an 18 dexterity plus get the ability of the feat as well.
You said that was at 14th level?
4th level.
4th level, okay. It sounded like you said 14, and I
Oh,
was
I
like,
might have.
oh boy.
If I did, my apologies. Yes, correct that. It is 4th level. But
Okay.
also, everyone will get not only once we finish your characters, you'll also be able to select a feat at 1st level if your background does not give you a feat. You'll be able to choose magic initiate. You'll be able to choose skilled, or you'll be able to choose tough for your free feat at 1st level if your background. That was introduced. Those rules were introduced with Spelljammer. Because the 2 new backgrounds in Spelljammer, both of those came with a feat. The Astral background came with the feat of Magic Initiate specifically for Cleric, and then the Wild Spacers came out with Wild Space Adaptation, which gave them the feat Tough. And then in that documentation it also says if you have a background that does not start with a feat, you may choose one of these 3. Go ahead, Elder. What were you saying? My apologies.
No worries. Do we want to go to the text screen for a second while Design Wizard is out?
Yeah, that's fine. Let's go ahead and mute the stream. We'll have a little technical difficulties, and we'll go ahead and come back here in a few. Sorry for the inconvenience, everybody watching. We'll be back shortly. All right, welcome back. Sorry about that, everyone. We're just having a little bit of bandwidth issues this evening. We'll definitely figure those out before our adventures get started next Sunday. But we are currently, Design Lizard, we are currently discussing the point buy for your ability scores. After you've made all of your decisions for your class, we have moved on to the point buy ability scores. So if you want to go through that on your character mancer, as I was talking with them, you're experienced Adventures League player. I was giving Otter and those of our viewers that might not have played Adventures League yet a little bit of advice about selecting the different ability scores for your class, kind of using the point buy system to kind of get an optimal character ability score from start. Of course, you can always play that wizard as long as you have the minimum intelligence to play the wizard. Drop it down if you want, as long as you meet the requirements for being able to be a wizard.
I'm trying to think. Does the longbow have a strength requirement, or is that a dex?
It does not, but it is, as I mentioned earlier, it is a heavy weapon. So if you are now I don't believe any that, if I recall. Again, I've played so many different versions of D&D, so many different editions. I think the only thing in 5th edition that has strength requirements for the characters is armor. I believe some of the armor has minimum strength requirements to wear those.
Mostly what I've played is casters, so melee stuff is a little new for me, so hey, it's good questions to ask.
Important.
Well, melee and ranged. My only other ranged character had guns, and that really just required point and shoot.
There are a few guns in Adventurers League. You can obtain some of them if you play through. Don't want to really give away any spoilers, but I'm not really going to be spoiling plot. But there is in some of the Waterdeep Dragon Heist and Dungeons of the Mad Mage, there's a possibility to get some. There might be some in Icewind Dale somewhere as you play through. There are a few things for Adventurers League that quote unquote allow you to kind of break the rules. They're called certifications. That sometimes they'll give out what they call certs for charity events. They'll give out certs for special events for conventions and things along those in that regard for the characters that kind of allow them to break the rules a little bit. Not so much anymore because they did open it up. Adventurers League used to only be what they called the Player's Handbook +1 rule, which was only allowed you to use the Player's Handbook plus one other supplement. And they've gotten rid of that rule, so you can use Xanathars and Fizbins and Tashas and stuff for your characters now. Mordekainen's Monsters of the Multiverse with all of the different races there. You used to not be able to do that, so you would have to have like a cert. There are still certs that are out there that allow you to play in a Forgotten Realms game that would allow you to play something from like Theros. Like there's a Leonin cert that's out there. There's a Minotaur. Well, actually, you don't need the Minotaur cert anymore because that is in Monsters of the Multiverse. But like I have a Leonin cert. It was from a Jasper's Game Day, which was a charity event that allows you to play a Leonin from the Magic the Gathering D&D Worlds for 5th edition.
Very cool.
Yeah, if you want to do something, it looks okay right now. Sign Lizard doesn't look like you're buffering or anything like that right now.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'm going to keep that stat line. I don't mind the idea of a character having some less than 10 stats. It gives you a little bit of room to add some flavor and stuff into the character development.
Yeah, no problem at all. So once everyone has finished your point buy, go ahead and move on. Type ready in the Roll20 chat. And then we will go ahead and move on to the next selection, which is your background. For the purpose of this, I think it might be best, since this is going to be our first play stream, instead of going into worrying about doing a custom background or anything like that, it might be best for us just to choose a background from the ones that are available. As I mentioned, there are tons of them available for you to choose.
Oh, there are so many.
Of course, Curse of Strahd is in here, so if you wanted to play a haunted one background, you could. You'd have to search them online, and I believe that you might be able to find them still on the Wizards of the Coast website. But they did come up with a few different Adventurers League approved backgrounds that the Adventurers League administrators had put together for a couple of the different seasons. The seasons have kind of gone away with Wild Bale and Witchlight, which was season 11. They've come out with Journeys to the Radiant Citadel since then. Of course, the Keys from the Golden Vault coming out. Spelljammers come out. All of that. But there are, I think it was for season 2 and season 3. I think the AL admins had a couple of documents that you should be able to search and find them for free online for those seasons that had a few different backgrounds. But unfortunately, we do not have those in Roll20. But for those of you watching, if you want to go out and check those out, look for them. I might even be able to put those into our Discord channel in the docs. So I'll have you guys remind me to do that after our stream's over, and I'll put those in there. All right. So once you choose your background, you should be able to see that it will, for example, I'm kind of making a character as we go along. So after you are finished with your choosing your stats, you go to your background. It'll give you a couple of skills that your background starts with. If those skills duplicate anything from your class, go ahead up to the top of your Charactermancer, click on your class, and change those skills out to something else. And then click back over to the background tab at the top of your Charactermancer. So like if you happen to choose, for example, if you choose a criminal background and you're a rogue, and you already chose Deception and Stealth as your skills for your rogue class, you can always just go back and click on your class, change those around, and then come back to your background.
Cool. Yeah, in particular, for me, that was stealth. I noticed that I had stealth earlier for the rogue, and then when I went to the background that I've chose, which is urchin, just a lowly urchin, really streetwise little guy, underworld street guy, but stealth. Yeah, so I adjusted that. Yep. The Silent Lizard. What did you take? Did you take? We're just a couple of.
I was looking at the
rats,
exact same thing too.
We're just streetwise little guys, We
just oops, all urchins.
We grew up in the dirty Underdark, Bunny Rabbit. You can't be an urchin. You're a fluffy bunny. We're street Underdark living urchins.
I mean, you say that, but I could look like the hare from. What was his name?
Scary Easter bunnies, yeah.
Yeah, not quite Easter Bunny, and more like the hare, where it's just like all disheveled and gnarly looking hair and gone.
Yeah. So this is so far a pretty good session 0. Making some great characters that'll be really great for heists, which is going to be really fun to get into.
I'm sitting here like, why not have everyone be urchins from different backgrounds? That sounds like fun.
Totally do that. What? So you're going to Otto. You're going to go with the Paragon Ranger as an urchin background, right? Is that what you're looking at?
Kind of thinking so, because it plays into what I had talked to you a little earlier about with the Swarmkeeper.
Yeah.
That could play into possible future ideas really well.
Yeah. Dr. Tim, what did you select for your background? Did you go urchin as well?
That's what I did. I did urchin. I picked urchin. Yep, sure enough.
Yeah. So if you want to, also you can choose once you pick your background. You'll come down, make your selections there. Any thing that you get to choose that's not already there. Of course, you go down to your personality traits. For those of you that might be new to D&D, perhaps in the stream or watching this later on the VOD, your personality traits, your ideals, your bonds, and your flaws are basically suggestions for role playing, basically like prompts for role playing. You don't ever have to use those. Even in Adventures League, you don't have to use those, but they are something that you can choose them randomly and roll them, or you can go through in the Character Mancer and you can actually pick your different traits. It looks like in our Roll20, Dante Shen went ahead and rolled his randomly, which is really fun because it might give you a really cool role-playing challenge, especially for experienced players. If you're played for many years, as I mentioned in our announcement stream, which you can watch in our VOD below, which I think is going up on our YouTube tomorrow, right? The Monday, I think every Monday after our the Monday after the week that we stream, we're going to upload all of our streams to our YouTube, so you can watch those as well. Again,
Absolutely.
you can find all those links down below. Yeah, those for experienced DM or for experienced players, those personality traits randomly are really cool. They're really good for newer players as well because it gives them prompts of ideas how to role play their characters, things like that. But again, you can choose them, you can roll them. Also, you don't have to roll them from that particular background. You can also make up your own if you want. That's not something
I enjoy the chaos we have going here. I'm going to hop on the boat and just roll these. We'll see what happens.
Boy, here we go. Rolling it up.
I like it.
You like to squeeze into small places?
Ooh, I like it a lot.
And what we can do is have everyone go through once they get their. Make sure, I was going to say, make sure you get both of the traits, which is.
We're both just a bunch of thieves. We stole from somebody.
Yeah.
Okay.
Nice.
My personality trait is I like to squeeze into small places where no one else can get to me. I also bluntly say what other people are hinting at or hiding. I love that for my 8 charisma.
Mm-hmm.
Ideal is people. I help the people who help me. Bond. I escaped my life of poverty by robbing somebody. I'm now wanted. And a flaw, it's not stealing if I need it more than they do.
Very nice. So what were you, go ahead and read off yours, Donshin.
Okay, sure. Yeah, being a little street urchin, being streetwise and coming up very poor. Things were rough on the streets, but I have a tendency to sleep with my back to a wall or a tree with everything I own wrapped up in a bundle and holding it as I'm sleeping as for protection.
Yeah.
Also, I ask a lot of questions. I find it imperative to find out what everyone else is doing and what's going on so that I can gather information in order to gain from it.
Yeah.
Also, my ideal is change. The low are lifted up, and the high and mighty are brought down. Change is the nature of things, which is a chaotic tendency. And I've escaped my life, the same of like Otter has. I've escaped my life of poverty by robbing an important person, and I'm running from the law. And I have a flaw. I'd rather kill someone in their sleep than fight fair.
All right. So, yeah.
And it's all random rolls.
Absolutely.
Start with you. I'm going to import some or bring in some custom ones. I'll skip the top one I put in the Roll20 chat, but I'm going to bring a couple odd traits in. I carry a skull around, and you'll often find me talking to it as if it's a person.
Yeah,
and I often ask advice of it. And I like to drink sour milk and eat rotten food. So when we're in a bar and everyone's drinking, I'll be asking for anything that's spoiled. Just as my Sverfneblin bringing up. I did take the ideal, change, the lower lifted up, the high and mighty are brought down, changes the nature. My bond was no one else should have to endure the hardships I've been. And the flaw, I'm going to work with Mitch in between the sessions, but I've had a relationship with the lover of an official of one of the towns we're going to go to, and I don't know who she was connected to, so it'll be up to Mitch to decide when we may run into the lover, of the lever I took and what repercussions it'll have for me and our party when we bump into them, because they will know who I am. So maybe I slept with the mayor of, Disguise Kit City. He knows it. She knows it. I don't know who she was because she was gone when we woke up, but you will know it, and it may lead to something interesting for the party down the road, and that would be my flaw.
Yeah, we'll figure something out before next week and figure it all out.
Man,
all right,
aren't we just a band of interesting folks?
Yeah. So after you're finished up with your background, getting your ideas and flaws, bonds, personal traits, personality traits, you will have equipment you'll see listed there that will automatically be added to your character sheet. And then when you're ready, go ahead and next. And then what we'll do is we'll get your equipment together. And how you do equipment in Adventurers League is you start with your class equipment. So go ahead and on your equipment, you do not roll starting wealth in the Adventurers League. You start off with what your class equipment is listed in the player's handbook, or if you're playing an artificer, listed in Tasha's, and then you have selections that you can make from those. So go ahead and let's see, Otter, what selections do you have for your class equipment?
For class equipment, I have a choice of scale mail or leather. If we're trying to be sneaky, I'm going to go with leather. I then have a choice of 2 of a short sword or any simple melee weapon.
Okay.
So I will end up with a short sword and a dagger for those.
Yeah, I think a short sword, if you wanted to go with 2 short swords, you could as well, because I believe a short sword is a simple weapon.
Mm-hmm.
That is in case you want to do any dual wielding or two-handed two-weapon fighting. Both weapons, unless you have specific feats or features, both weapons do have to be light, and short swords are light weapons as well.
Yeah, I was thinking leaning more into using the longbow that I have as starting equipment. So the short sword and the dagger are if needed.
Gotcha.
And then I have an option between a Dungeoneer's pack or an Explorer's pack. And
that would be your. Both of them are pretty good.
Honestly, I don't know what is in each of those.
Because we are doing heists with it. Of course, I don't know if, again, I haven't gotten any spoilers. I have not looked at the D&D Beyond early release. So I'm not sure. There might be some heists that go down into be some dungeon crawls. I'm sure that there's going to be some dungeon crawls probably in there and a few of the different adventures. So Dungeons Pack's great for that. Explorers Pack's great for, the stuff above, up in the cities and out in the wilds. So I'm sure they're going to most likely be in a lot of different locations. So it's going to be excited to see it on Tuesday.
For the fine folks in the audience, a Dungeoneer's pack includes a backpack, a crowbar, a hammer, 10 pitons, which I believe are like spikes.
Yep.
10 torches, a tinderbox, 10 days of rations, and a water skin. It also includes 50 feet of hempen rope. And then the Explorer's pack is a backpack, a bedroll, a mess kit, a tinderbox, 10 torches, 10 days of rations, and a water skin. Also includes 50 feet of hempen rope.
And then also below all your choices, you should also see equipment from your background. So Dr. Shin and Design Lizard, are you doing okay on your selections? What Design Lizard, what selections did you have for your class equipment as a wizard? Not a bot, I'm assuming.
So I get the spell book as not a choice, but it's a spell book, a quarterstaff or a dagger. And since I've always played rogues with stabby daggers, I'm taking a quarterstaff.
There you go.
I had to choose between a component pouch or an arcane focus. I went with the component pouch.
Nice.
And I've got a scholar's pack or explorer's pack. And I think I'm going to go with explorer's pack.
Okay.
And then my urchin equipment gives me a knife, map of the city I grew up in, and some other stuff. Belt pouch, common clothes.
Now, keep in mind too, if there's any of those different packs that you want, those packs are available in the player's handbook. They do have their own pricing and such like that. So as your characters play through, and you're like, hey, I do want to get a scholars pack, and you want to have some paper and some ink and such like that, you can always pick that up later as well. I always recommend with your starting gold for everyone to always take five gold of that and buy a healer's kit. We can do that later on, but I always recommend all PCs should always grab some sort of healer's kit. What a healer's kit allows you to do is normally if a character drops down to 0 and they may miss a death save or two, in order to stabilize them, a character can go up and make a DC 10 medicine check. If you're not skilled with medicine and you have a low, I think it's an intelligence or wisdom check for the medicine, it might be a little difficult. But with a healer's kit, it has 10 uses, you can spend the use of a healer's kit and automatically stabilize another character. So then, Danjishin, how are your selections going with the rogue?
Yeah, I've got my class equipment, leather armor, dagger, and thieves' tools, but I picked for my weapon a short sword.
Oh, very nice.
For the dual wielding. Also, I picked a short bow with a quiver and arrows and a burglar's pack.
Very cool, very cool.
And in addition to that, I also have the urchin background, which is a knife, a map of the city, and a pet mouse, which is interesting. A pet mouse, yeah, a token to remember my parents by, and some clothes in a belt pouch.
Yeah,
which is
now one thing that's
fairly empty. That's why I'm doing some work now.
Yeah, my apologies. Go ahead. Yeah,
no, I said the belt pouch. It's fairly empty, so that's why I'm doing some work now to try to get.
There we go. Yeah. I was going to mention the only thing that's a little different from Adventurers League, of course, developing your backstory, having all of this information, things along those lines are really great for homebrew. You do get a little bit of that interaction with Adventurers League, but with it being rules as written, it's the DM can still use their abilities as the dungeon master, their discretion and such to be able to intermix those backstories into the story, as long as the adventure stays the same, the NPCs stay the same, the stories stay the same. You can always weave those things in to the story to suit your players, especially if you're playing with a home group or a weekly group like we're playing with, and you're playing Adventurers League. You can still tailor the stories and the adventures to the characters that are playing. So next, it looks like everyone, go ahead, Design Legend.
I just have a for Otter, when Otter was talking about the difference between the packs, in the Roll20 area where the chat is, if you go up to the I, like the letter I, black background, and you type in like Explorer, it searches everything that Mitch has exposed to us. You can click on Explorer's pack, and it'll give you a nice listing of what's in it.
Oh,
yeah.
That is far faster than me going elsewhere to find the information I read off.
Yeah, I figured you didn't use that because you used the other back end, but it's very handy, especially when all of the resources are shared by the DM. You could search across everything, and that's spells, equipment, feats, you name it. You search up there, it comes up.
Yeah, we're definitely going to probably on some of the Tuesday streams for Dungeons and Deliberations, we will probably get into somewhere along the within the next few weeks, probably going through and doing some Roll20 tutorials. There's a reason why a lot of people like different VTTs, and that's of course great. A lot of them, all of them have wonderful features. Foundry, Fantasy Grounds. I was introduced recently to Albert Rodeo. A lot of different VTTs out there have really great things. I myself use Roll20 as it is the industry standard that most players, are, especially if they play online and run online very frequently, most players are used to Roll20, or at least using some of the different apps that you can use to link your D&D Beyond and Roll20 and such there. For this, we are having the players use our the Charactermancer in Roll20 to make their characters. But yeah, we'll do probably do a little series for our Dungeons and Deliberations about teaching people a little bit more about Roll20. So now that we have our, again, as I mentioned, if for those that are just joining us or watching the VOD, For Adventurers League, you use class equipment. You do not use starting wealth because the only gold you'll start off with is what you have in your background. Now you can, for half price, sell back some of your starting equipment to start off with a little bit of extra gold. So if you happen to pick up a couple of short swords and you want to sell one of them, you can sell it back to the merchants for half price. That's the standard rule for Adventurers League. If you find mundane items that aren't things like art or jewelry or gems, if you find like a suit of studded leather armor and a player doesn't want to have that, you can sell it as the group, sell it back to the vendors or merchants or whatever from whatever town for half the price listed in the player's handbook. Of course, the rule in D&D is unless it states otherwise, you always round down. That's one of the first rules in the first opening few pages of the player's handbook. So always round down unless the rule says otherwise. All right, so class equipment should be done for everyone. And then let's go ahead and move on to the next part, which is going to choose your spells. The ranger shouldn't have any spells yet. Our rogue does not have any spells yet, but our wizard begins play with knowing a couple of cantrips. I think, what, 3? You get 3 cantrips? And 6 spells that you get to choose to put in your spell book. Keep in mind, every time that you level as a wizard in 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons, you get to select 2 spells from the wizard list for free to add to your spell book. Otherwise, you will have to spend your money in order to copy spells that you find from scrolls or other wizards that you might encounter as you go through the adventures. For the Adventurers League, the way you can get spells is you can actually purchase spell scrolls, in between sessions from the shared campaign section of Xanathar's Guide to Everything. In the back part, there's a shared campaign. You can purchase spell scrolls, and it also has a selection of potions that you can pick up. There is also a different meta currency in Adventurers League that's called downtime days. They're briefly mentioned and talked about in the Player's Handbook and the Dungeon Master's Guide here and there, but Adventurers League does use downtime days anytime your character levels or has the opportunity to level, because when you have a chance to level in Adventurers League, you can decline the level if you want. If you want to play up to 4th level and you just want to play around in tier 1 for a while and play other adventures, most of the time at the end of a few hours of a session for a hardcover or an adventure or a single module, a character will have a chance to level up at the end of it. And you can decline that if you want. You still get everything that you would normally get as if you leveled, except for the level. So you'll still get your downtime days. You still get to keep any magic items that you find in the adventure. You still get to keep your gold that you find in the adventure. You just decline the level. So you use those downtime days. So if you want to do, it takes, I think it was for every downtime day, you get 8 hours of copy time to copy spells. And of course, using the spell book rules in the Player's Handbook, everyone that's watching or watches this later can check those out in the Player's Handbook later on. It does have rules for copying spells, and that's how the Adventurers League deals with copying spells, is using downtime days to copy those.
Okay.
All right, so what spells are you thinking about there, Design Wizard?
Well, I know cantrip-wise, without even having to look at the list, we're going to need some Mage Hand to pull out some hijinks on these heists. I assume we don't split the party, but I assume I'm going to want some message.
They always say the rules to not split the party. I will say this, as a Dungeon Master, I don't mind if you split the party.
No, I know you don't.
Read Dotson's shirt.
He might be smiling. Yeah, here we go. Already too late.
Already too late. Yep.
He smiled.
But yes,
yes. By all means, go explore on your own. It's all right.
Yes. Sure. Go ahead.
But I mean, I can message people outside the party. I could mess around. And I think just because it was the hardest word to learn when I started playing D&D, I'm going to go with prestidigitation.
There you go.
jokes as we're out working on our heist. We'll make some noises. We'll make some lights.
Clean up
Clean
messes.
ourselves up to look pretty.
Yeah, it's true. You might clean up some messes that you make as you're going through. Yeah.
And you can chill, warm up, or flavor 1 cubic foot of non-living material. So I think I will warm up a lot of my sour milk as I prepare for our adventures.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Then we all have to smell it.
Having not played too many casters before, other than the bard, we're gonna definitely want some disguise self.
I can make some suggestions for you if you want, and then you can take that and do whatever you want with it. I've played many a wizard. My favorite is one of my current Adventure League characters. I have a 20th level necromancer. But I always recommend for newer players. Obviously, you've been playing for a number of years, but for those of you watching that might be interested in what you might want to do, I always make suggestions like Detect Magic. Detect Magic is great because wizards have the ability to do what's called ritual casting. And they're one of the few classes that they don't have to have the spell prepared to ritually cast it. They just have to have it in their spell book. So you can have Detect Magic in your spell book and not have to have it prepared for that day and still be able to cast it. It takes 10 minutes longer to cast. So it basically takes 10 minutes and 6 seconds to cast instead of just 6 seconds if you have the spell prepared. I always suggest Shield also because wizards always usually have the lowest armor class in the group. That or Mage Armor. Mage Armor is good because it will allow you for 8 hours a day to improve your armor class as you wear. So either Shield or Mage Armor, both of those if you want. It's up to you. Other good ones are always the Never Miss spell, Magic Missile, or Sleep. Sleep is really great. The cool thing about 5th edition is Sleep is not as an older edition. Sleep, the first few levels, Sleep was great, but as you got higher in levels, Sleep did not become became useless at higher levels. In 5th edition, it's actually still fairly viable because it's what their current hit points are. So if you're fighting a big bad guy and you get him down really low in hit points and you cast a really nice sleep spell, you can put him out. And then if you want to do other stuff like Alarm, Disguise Self, Tensor's Floating Disc, Unseen Servant's really good. Floating Disc and Unseen Servant would be great for your heists and things like that as well.
Floating disc is new to me. Sounds interesting.
Yeah.
It doesn't go very fast, but it holds a whole lot of stuff.
Yeah, it'll hold all your loot.
Yeah, I was thinking I'm definitely looking for Disguise Self.
Mm-hmm.
And I was kind of tossed between Unseen Servant and Silent Image. I'm not sure heist-wise which one would be more fun.
I'd probably maybe look at something. Well, do you want to have anything attack-wise as something attack-wise for first level?
Yeah, that's what I was wondering. I don't know how much of these.
They have a great spell. It's a line. It's a area effect line from Tasha. It's called Tasha's Caustic Brew, which spews them with poison, which kind of fits in with your whole spoiled food, spoiled milk growing up in the Underdark. Thunder Wave is a great one. That's another good area of effect because you could use did you pick any sort of cantrip that had any sort of attack? Did you pick up Firebolt or anything like that?
No, I was actually just looking. I've got Mage Hand, Message, Prestidigitation. I have no type of attack.
You don't even have to be an attack type of wizard. You could be what for those that aren't experienced with D&D, it could be what's called a support character, where your spells are designed completely to aid your rogue and your ranger companion to get in, steal what they need to, and get out, type of thing. So yeah, you could totally build that type of wizard if you wanted to.
Yeah, I guess metagaming. I remember like the Witchlight.
Mm-hmm.
Most of the adventures were doable without shedding any blood.
Mm-hmm. That's true. We did run through that.
My impression of what's about to come in these adventures that I haven't seen, I haven't even opened up the free one yet.
Mm-hmm.
I assume if we're killing people, things have gone horribly awry.
There you go. That's
and
probably
if we could use pranks like Mage Hand, Prestidigitation, Disguise Self, Silent Image,
Minor Illusion might not
you
even
may be
be
able to get in
that
and out
bad.
without.
Yeah, minor illusion as a cantrip might not be bad either. Yeah, that's true.
Mm-hmm. If we're trying to distract people, that could be a viable option.
Especially if you're stealing small things, because you could use the minor illusion to make it look like it's still there and get out. Depends
Oh,
on how they set
goodness.
the things up. Also,
If this is all theoretical and just talking character things, but if you went illusion for wizardry, that's really gnarly from a thief point of view, because you can make things appear real pretty quickly as an
higher
illusion
levels,
wizard.
yeah, at higher levels, you can actually make them real.
Yeah. So we're going to take this, and I'm just going to make an image here, and now it's there. We're going to take the real one and go this way. I never thought of that for thievery before. That's gnarly.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So
Maybe our bard will move into.
let's go ahead and let's go ahead and take our little break here. It's about a quarter after the hour. Let's go ahead and throw up our small little break. Allow us to use the restroom, grab some beverages and such like that. Those of you watching, feel free to use the restroom, grab some drinks, snacks, or always have everybody stand up, stretch your legs every hour or so, and we'll let Design Lizard finish up his spell selections, and then we will come back and continue with our session 0 for our Keys from the Golden Vault. So if you want to put that up for us, Otter, we will all be back here shortly, and stick around.
Okay.
All right, welcome back, everyone. Thank you for sticking with us to our short intermission there. Refresh some beverages, use the restroom and such. And we do have finally our list for our wizard. Made some adjustments during the intermission as well. So, Design Wizard, why don't you go ahead and let us know what your final list of spells, your cantrips, and your 6 spells are.
So I'm still sticking with Mage Hand and Message, but I did drop Prestidigitation and grabbed Firebolt just so I could do a little damage if things go sideways.
Ooh.
Okay.
I am sticking with Disguise Self and Silent Image right now. I went with Detect Magic and also Alarm. And then again, just in case we do have to get our hands dirty, I dropped down the Mage Armor and the Thunder Wave. So take and give a little damage, but keeping most of my
Alarm will
stuff
be
here.
handy.
Yeah, Alarm is another one of those ritual spells as well. So you don't actually have to prepare. And especially when if you're doing heists and such like that, being able to set alarms if something comes along, you can even set up like silent alarm to where if a guard passes by or something like that, it'll alert you and you can inform your party about that. Very cool, very cool. All right, so next, since we've got those selected, I guess it's the arcane is a mystery to our rogue and our ranger at the moment, so they don't have to select these spells. So next, you would here's where you would pick up feats. And such like that. You can't select them at the moment. Again, after we finish our characters, we'll give you a list of the 3 feats that you can choose since your backgrounds don't have a feat. And you'll be able to actually, as Design Wizard mentioned earlier, you'll be able to go into Compendium and roll 20, find that feat, and you can actually drag it directly over to your character sheet once we're finished up. And it'll add everything to that for you. So then we go on to the next part of your Character Mancer experience. And that is using your bio, basically, your information about your character. So now it's time to select your character's names. One of the things for our viewers that you can do is obviously you can make up your own names. You can bring the character names inspired by fantasy novels you might have read, things that you've encountered in your life. One of the things that I like to do is always recommend does a great fantasy generator, name generator. It's actually a fantasy name generator online that you can go and pick. It's got so many different categories of different races, different real place, historical types of names for Celtic names, Scottish names, things like that. They also have dwarven names, elven names, dragon names. It's great also for content creators because it helps you come up with, and you don't have to use them exactly, but they also give you a little bit of inspiration to help come up with your own as well. If you look, when you come to your bio as well, it should have your character's race there. That'll give you a little bit of information about like how long they live, things along those lines, where they're from, stuff like that. It gives you a little bit of inspiration for different types of names for them as well. And it also will have your traits there to remind you, okay, how old, like for example, the character that I'm making along with you is an elf. So it talks about how old the age for elves. It talks about your size and all that. Your weight and your height, that's up to you. Keep in mind if you're a smaller character, keep that in mind when you're picking those. Also keep in mind weight for like you are doing heists. So if your character happens to be a 300-pound furball, it might be a little bit difficult to walk across a little thin area that like a little wooden plank or something to go from building top to building top. But then, of course, your skin, you could be tanned, weathered, that's all, dark skinned, things like that, olive skinned, purple skinned if you want, whatever you'd like to play. That's totally up to you. I would kind of steer away from being neon colored, though. Might not be good when you're trying to be stealthy and going after some heists.
Now I got to start over.
Hey, go with the neon hair, though. You can go with like a bright pink hair or something. That's really cool.
Yeah, just be bioluminescent. Call it a day.
Yeah, there you go.
My hair is kind of. I'm thinking my gnome's going to have like a that weird kind of greenish blue glow that you would see underground on a mushroom.
Yeah. You always drop a hood
something like that.
Yeah, that'd be really cool. Bioluminescence, yeah, like those underground mushrooms and stuff. So yeah, and also to let you know, I think don't think Herringon have dark vision, do they?
Oh man, come on.
That's okay. Hey, it's
Oh.
another thing that we have to overcome while we play the game, right?
That's awesome. I'm glad.
I do
think
not.
both of you, I think both of you as deep gnomes have superior dark vision. Is that true? Or do you just have
Yeah.
regular dark
Yep,
vision?
superior is
Superior.
120 feet.
Yeah, you have 120 feet. Yeah.
You can see
Guys,
into your past.
where'd you go? Guys!
What? We're right here. We
Hello?
see you.
Well, the cool thing about getting the, because I already pre-ordered keys from the Golden Vault on Roll20. The cool thing about doing that is that all of the maps are already going to be set up for us. The only thing that I'll have to change a little bit is I like for the players to be able to see the tokens' hit points, not the actual total. I'll let you all see each other's total hit points so you can know, have an idea of where you're at. But at least let you see the monster's hit point bar. That way, like prior editions, if something gets bloodied, you can kind of see where the creature is in its hit point bar. You won't know its total, but you'll at least be able to see where it is. Also, I like to roll out in the open. I started actually doing that during season 7 of Adventurers League, which is actually the Tomb of Annihilation season, because the Death Curse was in place. So I wanted to challenge myself as a dungeon master to still be a player-oriented DM, but at the same time, I didn't want to fudge rolls. If I ever fudge a roll, it's always in the player's interests if I'm rolling with a DM screen. But I didn't want players to think that I was fudging rolls. So I started rolling out in the open or in Roll20, not whispering my rolls. That way it would help me to learn as a DM to work on the fly, to improvise a little bit more, to not put my players in a completely unwinnable situation. Sometimes players will be put into PCs will be put into an unwinnable situation, and you as a DM can give them hints. Okay, this is not a fight you're going to win. You do have to run. Sometimes it's really hard for PCs to understand that because they always have that idea. Hey, we're heroes. We're going to win everything. Which, I always make sure that the players understand their characters are the heroes. But there are situations, narrative-wise, where players need to run, and so that's why I started rolling out in the open, and then challenging myself improvisational wise to keep the drama and the tension in the combats, but allow the players to understand, hey, sometimes I'm rolling great. Then there's nights I'm rolling really, really horrible, and the monsters are whiffing all night, which is fun too.
No.
Yeah, those games have you design wizard. All right, so once everyone's finished up with their bio, go ahead and give me another ready check and Roll20. Let me see here. I'm going to got a few little windows up here. All right, everyone's good to go. So then the last thing is the review. So go ahead and review your character. Talk about your all the different sections there, and make sure everything's right. And when it's ready, go ahead and apply changes. And that will finish.
We can come into these and tinker with like the bio and stuff later on.
Yes. Totally edit all of that stuff. Yep.
Fantastic.
I have 8 hit points.
Yeah, maximum wizard hit points at first level. All right, now before we do anything else, we can walk through. You'll be able to see it. The viewers won't, unfortunately, but of course, next week we will have our combat screen, which will have up our Roll20 and such like that. For those of you that are familiar with it, you'll be able to follow along, and those that perhaps might not be familiar, again, we'll be talking about some Roll20 stuff on some of our Tuesday streams. But right now, you can change your bio, as you were mentioning, Otter. If you notice underneath where it says your name, it's got your race, class, your background, alignment, and all of that such. You'll see a couple of tabs. You'll see one that should say core. See that tab?
Mm-hmm.
And then one beside it that says bio. That's basically the second page of your character sheet. If you had a normal character sheet in front of you, and then of course your spells, which you don't have any spells at the moment, and the last tab is your settings tab. So that will have a few things that we might work on once we start playing the game, to add a few things to make things easier for your character. But the core is basically the front page of your character sheet. The bio is basically the back page of a standard D&D 5th edition character sheet. So if you click on the bio tab, it brings all of that up that you can fill in later on. You can start putting some of the roles for your backstory that we're going to do here in a few from Xanathar's in there. But before we get to that, everyone switch over to your core page. And then now what we're going to do is we're going to give you your free first level feat since your background feature did not include a feat. So as per Spelljammer, which is, since we're playing Adventurers League, Spelljammer is part of the Forgotten Realms campaign. So each one of you may choose one feat from the following choices. You can choose Magic Initiate, which allows you a cantrip and a first level spell from a certain spellcasting class, which again you can search using the compendium here in Roll20. Another choice you can make is the Skilled feat, which allows you some extra skill proficiencies, some tool proficiencies as well, I think. And then the final one is Tough, which allows you to have extra hit points for every level that you gain. You get 2 extra hit points for each level that you gain as you adventure.
Whoa.
Okay.
So again, you can use the compendium search there in Roll20 to look those up. Since we don't have any healers, if anyone wants to take Magical Initiate, Cleric, or Druid, or even Bard, I think Dantashin, you had mentioned maybe dual classing later on to Bard.
Yeah.
But if something like you could maybe choose Magical Initiate Bard to where that might push you towards becoming a Bard later on, or just something along those lines to help with that. Again, I don't ever worry about the party having a quote unquote balanced party. I always adjust the story to the heroes that are playing the story. So we'll figure something out to where, I mean, I'm not going to make it easy, but we'll figure something out. Of course, it might have to adjust the way you play, knowing that you might not have a healer playing with you that evening. Of course, we're getting ready to put out, hopefully this week, we'll be able to put out the applications for any of our. We'll start that off first in our private server and move that over to the community server with applications to be able to play, to guest play for these. They are Adventurers League, as I mentioned. They are, most of them, one-shot adventures that do tie together with the story. So we'll put out some applications for some of our viewers and community members to be able to join in the fun with the Adventurers League games. So what are you thinking? Let's start with Otter. What are you thinking for your free feat?
I'm not sure. Being able to sneak in a couple cantrips sounds like not too bad of an idea. I don't really think Ranger is going to utilize Tough a whole lot for heists.
Mm-hmm.
And I get a lot of skills already. I don't know, like, I already have technically double proficiency for stealth, sleight of hand, perception, nature, investigation, insight. Unless I could take acrobatics, but anything else would be putting points into already very low skills.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I think I might look into Magic Initiate. Don't know what I would grab from it.
Okay.
But maybe Magic Initiate.
Yeah, take your time looking through it, and we'll go up here to Dantashin and find out what Dantashin wants to do. What are you thinking about, Dantashin?
I'm thinking about Magic Initiate also. Seeing as how I'm playing a gnome rogue, I also wanted to play later on maybe a bard, a rogue bard, multi-class or something. So to start out, I thought maybe that, like what you said, is Magic Initiate to play along the bard with a few little magic bonuses for our party.
Okay. Design Lizard, what are you thinking?
I wanted to do Magic Initiate too, and I was going to go for some Cleric Healing just in case. Okay. And there's actually, I'm trying to think, there was a spell I had in mind that was a Cleric. spell that I think would be a nice round out for this build. So I've dragged Magic
hands.
Initiative over to my character sheet, and it said like accepting from compendium, and it's added it to my like my features, I guess. But where do I actually just the picking the spells is on your own?
Yeah, you just go into the compendium and pick which spells. And what you can do is when you have a spell on your spell book, you can actually click the little gear icon beside it to edit it. What I always suggest that the players do is in the title of the spell, like say, for example, you take Cure Wounds. Then in parentheses, go ahead and open it, and then by the name of the spell, Cure Wounds, in parentheses, put MI. So that lets you know that you have that spell from Magic Initiate. And the same thing for the cantrip you might learn. Go ahead and put that on there as well. It might be a little funky when you go to do the Charactermancer for your spells and such. That probably shouldn't mess with it too much, though. And yes, Mr. Papa Squats, Sharpshooter is always great for range. Unfortunately, none of them are playing a human to get the alternate feat at first level instead of taking the extra points to every slot to every ability score. And they're unfortunately only able to choose from Magical Initiate, Tough, or Skilled as first level characters that aren't variant humans that allow them to have feat first level, because Sharpshooter is always great. Especially making it to where you can shoot at long range without disadvantage.
My gunslinger was a nuisance with Sharpshooter.
Well, your ranger will become a nuisance once you get a Sharpshooter, because you'll be able to shoot 6 feet with your longbow without having disadvantage. So you can like perch yourself in the tower, and you'll be able to watch everywhere as they're sneaking in. No worries, Pop Squats. That's exactly what we're here for, is to help out with learning AL. And I know it is
also very new to AL, so I'm learning right there with you.
Yeah, I think you just did a little research just today, right, Otter, to kind of brush up
an hour before stream.
Yeah. Yeah, if you want to learn anything about AL, we did. I'm not sure if it's still in the chat. We can repost that link. But you can also, if you join our Discord below, we do have in your role selection, if you selected Adventurers League, we do have a couple of Adventurers League things that pop up that has all the documentation. There's not a whole bunch for it. The only difference between Adventurers League and normal homebrew or normal D&D is that Adventurers League is rules as written. I always tell people that they're kind of iffy about AL. I always say, well, when you play D&D, every DM has specific house rules that they use for their games, and the players are expected to follow those. With AL, we just all happen to use the same house rules, which are Adventurers League rules, which are basically the Dungeons and Dragons rules as they are written. Mm-hmm. With a few minor changes in the player documentation, the DM documentation. But yeah. All right, so we have, let me go ahead and put that website in the chat again for those that are interested. Still getting used to watching the chat over here on the Streamlabs. Still. I'll get used to it.
Oh, yeah.
So go ahead and, like I said, for your Magic Initiate, drag that over. You can drag and drop. Don't drop it into the box where it says accepting. Drop it outside of that box, up or above or below it, to accept the drop from the compendium. And then go through and go to your spell sheet, and then select the cantrip that you want from the compendium. Drag that over, and select the spell you want, or whatever, however many spells and cantrips you get for those classes.
Yep.
I would recommend
I'm just
keeping
looking through the spells right now for each of the classes.
Yeah, I would recommend to keep in mind that your class ability will be dependent on what class you pick. Your spellcasting ability, I should say.
Yeah.
So if you're playing the ranger, it might be wise for Otter to select something from cleric or druid. Mm-hmm. Being that Dantashin's playing a rogue, might be more advisable to do something that for Dantishin that might go more towards well, unless you put your charisma up there. If you wanted to go bard, it's still really great. Or something that base that on, keep that in mind where your spellcasting abilities are when you select those.
Got it.
Well, if I went cleric, do we have someone who took any healing?
I took cure wounds.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was thinking of healing word, so I can do so at a bit of a distance. It's not as much of a heal, but if I'm not right up where you are, that gives a little bit of a health.
Up where I am, I'm gonna be as far back as possible. I'm a wizard.
Me too.
Be hiding behind the tree.
Keep squishies in the back. I think everybody's squishy.
Oh boy.
So what I'm hearing is we are both
Squishy
the front
party.
line and the back line.
You're the only
Yeah,
one.
we just avoid the front line. We don't even go there.
Yeah. So I'm thinking cleric because it would give me access to guidance, which would be very helpful across the board for the party.
Oh yeah.
Because I can't see in the dark, it gives me light.
Mm-hmm.
And I can grab healing word to do a little bit of a distance heal if we need it, and then we have the wizard with a cure wounds if we need something a little more substantial.
Yeah.
I think that's what I'm going to go with.
Very cool. Dumpston, have you decided on the spells you're picking for Bard?
I'm still looking. I've having a little trouble narrowing it down as far as how I want to do it. As far as I have 2 cantrips, so
Can always yell at people for damage if you're going bard.
Viciously mock them if you want.
yeah, I could do some vicious mockery.
Well, some really good. That's a fun one because the cool thing about when you're picking your damaging cantrips is as you get to the point where you get more cantrips, I always advise to have one that has an attack roll and then have one that has a saving throw. Whether it's cantrips, if you miss, you don't do any damage. If they make their save, they don't do any damage. But some of them, like if you're fighting things that have magic resistance, you want to make attack rolls. If you're fighting things that don't have magic resistance, you want them to make saves. Because it puts the onus on them to make the save to prevent the damage. But good
it
things
was also brought up to me for spells when I first started playing D&D that not all saving throws are built the same. So you want to make sure when you are grabbing spells that require saving throws to kind of mix and match some constitution saves, some charisma saves, some wisdom. Intelligence is a really good one because
they introduced
not a lot of things have that high intelligence.
Yeah, Tasha's was really great about introducing some new spells that like Mind Whip and Mind Sliver and things along those in that nature. That
Psychic Lance is gnarly.
Oh yeah.
You don't even have to see the person. You just have to say their name, and they have to be in range. That's it. It's coming for you.
But yeah, for like Dancing Lights isn't too bad for a cantrip for a bard. Again, Mage Hand is always good. Thunderclap. True Strike might not be horrible. I mean, it's not that the greatest of a cantrip, but at the same time, it would help you out with your sneak attack.
Sounds good. Yeah, I'll pass that one. That was pretty good. Range of 30 feet too. So hey, yeah, I think I'll take True Strike. Yeah, True Strike and the between Dancing Light and Vicious Mockery. Vicious Mockery.
The deep gnome hiding behind the thing, viciously mocking the enemies from behind cover.
Wait, Minor Illusion.
There you go. That's a great one
Minor
too.
Illusion. Okay. Well, it's versatile. So Dancing Lights. How can I use that? All right. Yeah, I'm just going to go ahead and take the True Strike and the Vicious Mockery.
Cool.
See where that goes.
And the design, what did you settle on for your cantrips?
I'm still getting there. The
No
cleric
worries.
spells by level showing me stuff that's not cleric, so I'm trying to figure out what it's doing to me. I did take Cure Wounds, obviously, to help us.
Yeah, for cleric, you have choices of guidance, light, mending, resistance, sacred flame, spare the dying, thaumaturgy, toll the dead, and word of radiance.
Yeah, I'm thinking Toll the Dead and Spare the Dying, just to balance out the yin and the yang.
Yeah, to spare the dying, just come up to your friends if they're knocked down and stabilize them immediately.
Exactly. I think that's where we're going.
Oh, cool.
That's the we touched the wrong trap spell.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Whoops.
All right. So we're going to do life events. We're going to go ahead and start with our backgrounds for your characters. Has everyone go ahead before make sure that I want to make sure before we start, everyone has determined the age of their character.
Not.
All right. We'll take a couple of moments to do that.
That was one of the odder come back and edit the bio that I was like, oh, good, I can come back to that.
Here's the way I did the gnome. I noticed
yeah.
that gnomes, deep gnomes, were could live up to 500 years.
All right.
And I thought, well, half of 5, 250. So if he's only level 1, so he's not going to be middle. He's not going to be quite middle age. He's going to be a little bit younger on the younger side. So I thought 175, halfway.
Yeah.
You're brilliant. You are brilliant.
Gimble Snaps McCracken is brilliant.
That's your character's name? You got it?
My character's name. Actually, his full name is Gimble Namfoodle Zook Bodywonk Sindri Snaps McCracken. Nickname Snaps.
Snaps. I like it.
I'm going to call you Snaps.
I like it.
Lifespan for a Heron is just boop, boop, regular humanoid style age.
So depending on if you want to have him start off a little bit later in life as an adventurer, or he started off, right out of the briar patch, as it were. Pardon me. So why don't we go ahead and start, since Dante Shin already has his age. Why don't we go ahead and we'll roll. We're going to go through each one of you on the same tables and just go through each one of you through your life events. So let's go ahead first, and we're not going to go specifically with all of these. We're not going to get down into. We're going to allow you all, obviously, to have a little bit of player agency to create your backstories, work on those. We're not going to go through and determine how many older brothers and sisters you have. All of that, we're going to leave that up to you. You can all obviously probably have access to Xanathar's Guide to Everything. If not, again, it is here in the this Roll20 room. I will make a new Roll20 room once the book comes out on Tuesday that we'll transfer these characters over to. But I'll allow you to decide all of that information on your own. But what we'll do for tonight is at least roll your life events to find out what had happened with your character prior to becoming an adventurer. We'll also go ahead and roll up why something from your background that caused you to become the class and the background that you have as well.
Sure.
And we can determine those life events from how old you are. So Dante Shin, please roll me a die 12 and let the viewers know what you roll.
I rolled an 11.
You have 11 life events because you're.
Wow. Okay, here we go.
Well, hold on. Let's go ahead and determine what design, what lizard, what age lizard is.
I went with a little bit younger. I went with 150.
All right, that is still a die 12. So go ahead and roll a die 12. Let the viewers know what you roll.
You got it. Roll 1d12. I got a 4.
All right, you have 4 life events.
Nice.
Keep in mind, the more life events you have, the more chances tragedy and things like that might strike you.
Chaos.
And of course, you can determine your parents and things along those lines. What if your relatives, if they're still alive, what's happened to them, and all that stuff like that. You can look through Xanathars and go through that yourself as well. And then Otter, how old are you?
I went and I just rolled for it. So I am 28.
All right, you have a die 4 life event. So go ahead and roll some die 4 and let the viewers know what you roll.
Ooh-wee. I have 3 life events.
3 life events. All right, so let's go ahead. Let's work through all of you here. We'll have each one of you roll, and then we'll go ahead and finish off with Dauntations.
You two out here being seasoned urchins. I'm pretty new to this, but I don't like it.
Yeah, 28. You've experienced some stuff in your life. So let's go ahead and start with Lizard. Go ahead and give me a D100 or percentile dice for those of you that aren't sure what those are.
41.
So a 41. If you want to, if everyone wants to kind of make little notes of what you roll on here, it'll help you with fleshing out your character background. And next week when we play our first session, because we're probably going to have to break each module down into 2 streams because they're probably going to be about 4 hours a piece, and we'll probably split those between 2 streams, each one of those. But that way you can kind of give us in when we're giving our character introductions next week. You can give us a little bit of backstory as well. But you made a friend of an adventurer, Blizzard. Now give me a die 6. We'll see if it's your fault that I'm sorry, my apologies. I was reading the one above it. So go ahead and use the Xanathar's life events table to determine add a little bit more detail to your friendship. You can figure out what the adventurer is, what their alignment is, things along those lines. So you made a friend of an adventurer as part of your life events.
Yep.
Don, go ahead and give me a die 100 for your first life event.
1. I rolled a 1.
Suffered a tragedy. So let me get to the tragedy.
Thought that might be coming. With 11, oh yeah, the
Give
odds.
me a D12. Let's see what a tragedy befell you before you became an adventurer.
I rolled a 7.
A lover disappeared without a trace. You've been searching for the person ever since.
Hey, that's my.
Hey. Wait a second. She was. Wait, did you know her? Well, no.
You were.
Tragic.
Goodness. Could you imagine?
Yes.
All right. Otter, go ahead and roll your first life event.
9.
Angela says, spent all this time studying so fewer life events for the wizard. We have a 9. Oh, my goodness. So low. You suffered a tragedy as well, Otter. Oh, goodness.
That was a D12?
Yes, the D12.
A 5.
You were imprisoned for a crime you didn't commit. Give me a die 6, if you would, please.
Oh, boy. D6.
So no wonder you're a little bit. That makes a little bit of sense. Oh, my goodness. So you served 6 years. We're going to say you spent 6 years in jail. We'll go with the crime you did not commit. And perhaps you, in your backstory, you were proven innocent finally, or you had to escape and you might be on the run still, or something like that. It also doesn't explain why your character is 28, getting started as an adventurer a little bit later in life. Perhaps that might be why you became an adventurer, because you did escape from prison or something like that. All right, so
6
that's
years in the pen.
6 years in the joint. Yes. So let's go back up to Design Lizard. Go ahead and give me another D100 for your second life event.
Come on, no whammies, no.
What is with you guys rolling ones on D100 rolls?
Not good. This doesn't project
D12
well.
for your tragedy.
Foreshadowing.
Hopefully, eventually we'll get to something nice that happens, bringing the viewers down. Like, oh my gosh, tragedy, tragedy, tragedy. Die 12, please.
Oops, all tragedy.
Oops.
All right, D12, please. A 7.
Rolled a 7.
You also, like you said, you had a lover disappear without a trace. You've been looking for that person ever since as well.
Oh, I love it here.
Perhaps Donaldson was Mega.
Oh no.
All right, so Donaldson, go ahead and get your second one. We'll just basically go through and we'll do a finish Design Lizards 3, Donaldson's 4, and Otter's 4, and then we'll have Donaldson go ahead and take care of the rest of his after the stream. That way we're not spending a whole bunch of time just figuring out all of that information.
Sure.
So Donaldson, go ahead and give me another D100 for your second life event.
All right. I got a 30 this time.
A 30. You were wounded. I'm sorry, that was a different table. My apologies. Getting to the right table here. 30. You fell in love or got married.
Oh boy. Okay.
You get this result more than once, you can choose to have a child instead. So you can determine that history yourself. You can describe that person. That might have been the person that you that disappeared without a trace as well. So you might want to intermix that together. You can determine if they're still around, if you're still married, things of that nature. I'll leave that totally up to you. Again, try to, when you're mixing, if you want to mix in any lore or anything like that, keep in mind that we are playing a Forgotten Realms campaign, so we'll be in the Forgotten Realms. So use those place names. There's a lot of great stuff on out there that you can search for the Underdark as well, since both of you are deep gnomes. So let's go ahead and go to Otter for your second life event.
Ooh-wee. 95.
95.
No, one away from something entertaining.
This really does play in well, though. You committed a crime or wrongly accused of doing so. So you can use the tables, the crime table, because that can be what you did not commit it, and that could be what sent you to prison. That will help you kind of flesh out your backstory.
Crime table is a D8.
Yeah, let's figure out what that was.
D8. A 1.
Murder.
Murder.
You were accused of a murder, and you were sent to prison for 6 years, and you didn't do this.
Man.
So that is going to be really fun to put into a backstory, especially since we're playing kind of a heist, roguish type of adventures. That's going to be really fun to put in there as well. All right, so let's go back up to Design Lizard. I'm saying, my apologies, I'm saying up. I'm looking at them in our Discord, not at on the stream. So say Design Lizard. Yeah. Go ahead and give me a no doubt.
Good. Can't you get like potions and scrolls out of these rolls?
There is a chance that you might be able to get a common magic item.
Could have taken an 11. Do I have inspiration on this roll?
Unfortunately, you do not. And keep in mind, inspiration, for those of you watching, inspiration can only be used on D20 rolls, not D100 rolls.
Rats.
Yep, D10. Tragedy is just filling your deep gnome life. Let's go ahead and see what that tragedy is.
What's the roll? I switched screens.
D12. Another D12, yeah.
Got an 11.
A romantic relationship ended. Give me a die 6, if you would, please.
Oh, boy.
I'm amused that both of you are rolling very similar life events from different perspectives.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
The relationship did end, but it did end amicably. You and you compare pictures in your wall. It's nice. I like that a lot. That's funny. All right, third. Let's go ahead and do the third one for Dauntishin. Go ahead and roll a die 100 for your life events.
I rolled a 62.
62. You spent time working a job related to your background as an urchin. Perhaps you were like we always like to call them torches. Like perhaps an urchin that would run messages back and forth or do different odd jobs through like helping street vendors and things like that. So maybe as an urchin, you did something like this in growing up. So give me 2 dice 6. And you will start with 4 extra gold pieces that you earned as an urchin from that. So let's go ahead and go with Otter. Let's go with your third event.
I'm enjoying the comment in chat. It's the shared wives' disappearance that Otter is accused of killing. Full party conspiracy in session 0.
Wow.
I love it. Yes, that's good.
Great.
That's good.
Ooh.
Yes.
Well, that's awesome.
And that's how we all end up together.
74.
Ooh, 74. You met someone important.
Ooh.
I will go ahead and let you determine. Unless you want to do it now, we can do that if you want to.
Oh, I'm happy to roll for it. Where do I go?
So let's see. Use supplemental tables to determine what the character's identity and how this individual feels about you. So what we can do is we can go to the secondary tables here. Let's go to.
So it'd be what? Alignment, cause of death, class, occupation, race, relationship?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I'll just go right down the list then.
Sure.
So 3d6 for their alignment. 11. They are neutral.
That's always good.
And then
They're still alive, so it's not a
they're
cause of death.
still alive.
Yeah.
Let's see what their class is.
Well, let's see. Does it mention the class or
occupation would be the better one? There it is.
Yeah, D100 for that. Okay.
An artisan or guild member.
But see, yeah, if you roll a 6 through 10 on there, you would have an adventure on there. So yeah, artisan or guild member. It could be a thieves guild member. You could have met someone that part of the Emerald Enclave as well, because we'll give you that after we finish up these backgrounds. We'll also give the opportunity if your character wants to join any of the different factions in the Forgotten Realms. They don't play a whole bunch of roles. Some adventures do tend to do extra stuff for the different factions. You don't have to do anything special to be a member of a faction. You just say, hey, I'm a member of a faction. That way, if you happen to be a Harper and you meet Harpers, you might be able to get a little bit of different information. If you're Emerald Enclave, things of that nature. So we'll let you decide that for the artisan or guild member. What is their?
I rolled a 66, which is a halfling.
Nice.
And lastly, we roll 3d4. For a 7, we're friends.
Very good. They're friendly.
And status would be 3d6. For a 7, they're alive, but doing poorly due to an injury, financial trouble, or relationship difficulties.
Sure. So you can use that to And again, these are just guidelines. If you want to change something around, it's not really changing anything mechanically. So obviously, I want to leave you the player agency to kind of develop those on your own. So let's go ahead and just roll the fourth event for Dante Shen, and we'll roll Otter's last one. And then Dante Shen, you can, after the stream is finished up, you can work on those before next Sunday on your own. If you want to bypass some of those other ones, that's fine as well. So Dante, another D100 if you would. Oh, 30, okay.
Roll a 30 again.
It's the boy.
You fell in love or you got married. If you get this result more than once, you can choose to have a child instead.
Okay, I have a wee one running around, a wee little Snaps McCracken running around out there somewhere. Actually, he's back. I know where he is. I know where she is, or one of them. Yes.
So you can determine that yourself if you have what your child, think about your child, all of that stuff. I'll leave that up to you. If they're still with your parents or with, perhaps you got divorced or, they're with your, whoever you're married to, they left behind and you went out to adventure, that's all your choice. And then let's go ahead and go with the last one for Otter for his fourth.
Oh, I only had 3.
Oh, you only had 3? Oh, Design Lizard had 4. So let's go ahead and go with the last one then for Design Lizard.
Give me something good.
I'll say I'm a wee 28 years old. I didn't have a whole lot going on. I spent most of it in prison.
Oh, that's true. That is true. You can maybe make some stuff up in, like the person you met that was important or whatever. You might have met him while you were in the joint. Let's go. So a 61 means that you work a job related to your background, very similar to what Don Shin rolled earlier. But this time you give me 2 dice 6 if you would. 9. So you will start with 9 extra gold pieces.
Nice.
And then we will go ahead and allow Dante Shin. Do you want to roll one more before we move on to some other stuff, or it's up to all of you?
Okay.
I don't want to speak for the viewers. I have no problem if you want to go through and roll the other 7, but I didn't want to. I don't want to leave Otter and Design Lizard out of those. So that's up to you. If you want to roll a couple more and then finish them up later, that's totally fine too.
To put my 2 cents in, I'm here to hear for the chaos if we want to see where these rolls go.
All right. Yeah. Are you okay with that, Lizard?
Yeah, for sure.
Chaos ensues. Yeah. All right. Here we go.
With the adoption might affect what you want to put in your backstory too. Yeah.
If anything, I'm always an agent of chaos. I like to see it happen. Let's do it.
Kid.
Okay. I rolled a 75.
All right, so you
75
as well. You met someone
important.
You met someone important as well.
Okay.
So we'll roll the supplemental tables. Let's go ahead and figure out 2. Sorry, my roll 20 is a little slow there. Let's go ahead and first figure out what their occupation was. So go ahead and give me another D100. 82. They're a politician or a bureaucrat. Man, you guys are getting tied back to that mayor all around with your roles, aren't you?
Okay. Bureaucrat.
Politician or bureaucrat, and then their race, give me another D100. They were a gnome.
What are you doing talking to the filthy gnomes?
Can't make this stuff up. Oh, wait.
the best chaos.
Yeah, we can say it's a deep gnome. Yeah, might as well since you're deep gnomes. Let's see how they're doing. Go ahead and give me 3 dice 6 for their status.
All right. 6.
Their life are doing poorly due to an injury or financial trouble. And then go ahead and give me 3d4 to see what their attitude is towards you.
Oh boy, here we go.
They're friendly. They're friendly too.
Okay, friendly. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that was your 5th one. Let's go ahead and go with your 6th one.
All right.
This is going to be great for, as I mentioned, for Lizard and for Otter. If anything comes up in Dodgson's background that you want to tie that into your background with what you've got, what you rolled for your life events, that can also be things that link your characters together to know one another as well. All right, we got a 71. You met another person that's important. I will give you the option to re-rolling that if you want to.
Yeah, sure. Why not?
Yep.
Reroll. Chaos.
You
78.
went on an adventure.
Ooh, yes. I went on an adventure.
Another D100 to see what your adventure is.
Is it to prison?
No, it's a 39.
You contracted a disease while exploring a filthy warren. You recovered from that.
Ugh.
You have persistent cough, pockmarks on your skin, or prematurely gray hair.
Ooh.
Or if you want to
Okay.
come up with something else health related that won't affect you mechanically, but just for flavor wise, something still remains from that disease. You've recovered from it, but something still remains behind.
Terrible halitosis.
Okay, I'm gonna. Oh, terrible, terrible. No, that he's the one that drinks the sour milk. I'm gonna go with went on an adventure and I caught this disease, and then I came back out and I had prematurely gray hair. It's like I have gray, just not in my full beard, but like in my beard, all right here and in the back. It's like all gray, which I'm only 175. I'm just barely a little out of my teenage years as a gnome, but
Yeah.
I look like I'm much older because of the gray hair.
Yeah. Okay, that's cool. So that was your fifth one, correct? No, that was your
Yes.
sixth.
6, sorry. Yes.
No worries. So our seventh life event.
Nine.
Tragedy.
Tragedy.
Great.
Give me that die 12.
An 11.
A romantic relationship ended. Perhaps that's why your child isn't with you. The other parent
Oh, yeah.
custody of them. If you want to do something like that, but go ahead and give me a die 6.
Okay. 5.
Ooh, an odd number means that it ended with bad feelings.
Ooh, yeah, okay.
So your romantic relationship ended with bad feelings.
Hard on the
And
heart.
I know why.
Maybe it was a relationship with the politician or bureaucrat. Well, I guess that one says you're still friendly together with each other. So let's go ahead and do. This is your 7th, or is this your 8th?
That was 7th, yes.
This is 8. Okay, so we're 8, 9, 10, 11. We got 4 more. So go ahead and give me another D100.
D100 for number 8 is 74. Oh boy, here we go.
4. Roll again.
Yeah. Okay. 67.
You spent time working a job related to your background. Give me 2 die 6. So you have 9 more gold to add to your starting gold.
Okay. All right.
So that's 13 so far, right? The first one was
Yeah.
4?
Yeah, nice. Might be able to get yourself some extra arrows for your short bow.
Yeah. So,
All right, so now we have 3 more to go. Go ahead and give me another D100.
5.
Another tragedy.
Yeah.
D12.
3.
Friendship ended bitterly.
Oh.
The other person is now hostile to you.
Oh no.
Then maybe the cause might have been a misunderstanding or something you or the former friend did. So I'll let you work on that. Again, like I said, these are all guidelines for you to use. If there's
Sure.
something that don't really work in what you're wanting to do, go ahead and discard them. It's not a problem. So we got 2 more. So go ahead and give me another D100.
56.
56. Spent more time working on a job. So you've had 3 jobs so far. Give me 2d6. You have a little bit of extra capital to work on your heists from the investment from your road companion.
I got a
9
9.
more. Yeah, 9 more gold. So that's what up? 21. Extra cash. Nice. And then we have 2 more left, right?
That was 10. So I got 1 more.
Okay, 1 more. And that is 89.
89.
He fought in a battle. Got to roll on
Okay.
the war table to determine what happened. So let's get out of the war table. Go ahead and give me a die 12.
2.
You were badly injured in the fight, and you still bear all
Oh,
scars of those wounds.
okay.
Our rogue is grizzled, folks.
Yes, he is.
Yeah. Yeah.
Especially for being
Okay.
such, not necessarily middle-aged, but definitely younger, but not, not a teenager age-wise for deep gnomes.
Yeah.
But that gives you, like I said, use those before our next session next Sunday for our session 1, which will be the first adventure in the series, and kind of come up with a rough backstory if you want to be as detailed as you want. It's not a big deal. It's totally up to you as the player for your character to come up with those. Again, nothing's really going to have a mechanical effect on your character, but it will help because with it being Adventures League, but it will help give us an idea of where your character comes from, things along those lines. Let's go ahead and check. I also believe we can do some life events to determine why, to help you out with why you became a rogue, why you became a paladin. I'm trying to think. I'm looking to see. I think those are here. Ta-ta-ta.
Yeah, they have tables for parents, personal decisions.
Oh yeah. I'll leave that all up to you. That
Mhm.
things that you can take care of. I believe there's also you can roll to see why you became an urchin. You can roll to see why you became a ranger or a rogue or a wizard. I'll leave that up to you to make those rolls if you want to. You already have enough with your life events and backstory that you can just kind of weave that in there if you want to as well.
Cool.
I mean, I feel like my 6 years in prison might be a pretty good setup for being an urchin.
A little bit, yeah. Yeah, I feel like the kid 57 says maybe Don Shin lost a foot in the battle.
Yeah, well, not much a foot. Yeah.
Well, here's the thing too. Keep in mind that will all be flavor. It won't mechanically affect your character. So if you want to have something like that, that's totally fine. To say that you might have lost a hand or something like that, that it's been replaced somehow, it wouldn't give you any mechanical detriments or benefits. Yeah, you could have lost a finger. That's fine too.
He lost a finger and his right arm is scarred, horribly scarred.
There you go. Nice.
What I put already. Yeah.
Heck yeah.
And for the job, since I had so many jobs, I put one as a job. He was an urchin. As an urchin, he was in the streets and things, and he was a torchbearer. Kind of he was a guide, and he did some other odd jobs. And then later on, he actually spent time as an informant. He was like, hey, so and so's doing this. He kind of got roped into this bad situation, and that led to some other things. And then from that he became a messenger. Not just an informant, but he became a messenger. So he earned a little extra cash.
Yeah, I like it. It's pretty sweet.
I put my gold on my character sheet here. Oh, okay.
Yeah, yeah. Add that to there.
That's a nice extra starting purse.
Yeah.
Yes.
Now, something else. It is a little bit after. We're getting close to. Well, we got about a little over half hour. Let's go ahead and take one more small break right here. Just a few minutes. We'll come back and kind of finish up. And I'll give you all a little bit of information about how, because at the end of each session playing Adventures League, you'll have to have what's called an Adventures League log. And of course, Chen and the Design Lizard know about this, and we'll explain that for Otter and some of our viewers that haven't played Adventures League. What'll help you make your character portable, where you can take it from different Adventures League game to Adventures League game. So let's go ahead and take a short little break to use the restroom, stretch our legs, grab some snacks, refresh beverages. Everyone, all of our viewers, we suggest to do the same. And we will be back here in just a few short minutes. So please stick around, and we'll be right back.
Okay. Cool.
All right, welcome back, everyone. Thank you so much for your patience for our last little break there. We've got about a half hour left of our stream. We're going to talk about a few things. Yes, wretched cuts we talked about on the break there. Your DM, I guess, in one of your games uses that would not mechanically affect your characters. Feel free to use that if you want to clip that and play that for your DM every once in a while. Feel free. Of course, hey, we want anyone that you know, have them steer them over to our channel. We want to do what we can to expand the community, help any DMs. As we had mentioned in our announcement stream, Doncic and I together have close to 80 years experience as DMs, and we want to try to help share. I know that's a long time, Doncic, right?
Long time.
The thing that I was going to mention actually during our announcement stream was that Doncic and I, if you watch the TV show Stranger Things, that was literally our life when we were growing. We grew up during that time, and we played D&D. That's when we learned to play D&D, and everything about it. Very accurate. The show's actually fairly accurate about that. Growing up through the Satanic Panic and all of that, playing Dungeons and Dragons. But here we are, 40 years later, still at it. So we're definitely wanting to share our experience, also hear everyone else's experience, because one of the things that I always tell DMs is that you're never finished learning. I can speak with a DM that's only been DMing for a couple of years, and I can learn something new from them that I can use to help me become a better dungeon master. But back to our session 0, we've got our characters, the backgrounds. They've got some ideas the players do to help work on their character backgrounds. As I mentioned earlier, we are playing Adventurers League rules. So what every player needs to do, and a DM as well, the DMs need to record their sessions with different logs. However, you can use however you want to make sure to log your adventures. You can use a regular piece of paper yourself. They actually do have pre-made Adventurers League logs. Again, if you follow us on Discord and join our community Discord server, and then make sure in your role selection to select Adventurers League. I would also hope you select streaming news. But check the Adventurers League role. My apologies, I'm having a little bit of trouble seeing out of my left eye here. But select Adventurers League, and that will have open up an area that will have documents for Adventurers League. Plus, you can also go to the site. We also mentioned we posted a couple of times here in chat. And we'll post that up probably in our Discord as well, just in case we might be missing information. But we do try to keep it as a one-stop shop for our Adventurers League. We have our errata up there as well for all of the published books for Wizards of the Coast. Those are all in one space as well. More convenient. But for keeping your Adventurers League logs, at the end of each session as a player, you'll want to record the adventure that you played. You'll want to record the dungeon master that ran the adventure for you. And then you want to record if you got any gold from that adventure. You want to record if you received any magic items for that adventure. The one thing that's a little different about magic items in Adventurers League, that's different from homebrew play or regular D&D play, is that during an adventure, if you find a magic item, you choose someone on the adventure to use that magic item until the end of the adventure. At the end of the adventure, that magic item unlocks for everyone to take a copy of that magic item. Now, the difference is in Adventurers League is that you're limited to a number of magic items that you can bring to the table. You can keep every magic item that you find. However, you're limited to the number of magic items you could bring to the table when you come to play an Adventurers League game, or the virtual table, if we're playing a VTT, which we'll be doing every Sunday. At Tier 1, you're allowed to bring 1 uncommon or higher magic item. You're allowed to bring up to 5 common magic items, and you're allowed to bring up to 5 consumables. Now, consumables are spell scrolls, scrolls of protection, potions. A potion of healing is a common magic item. It doesn't count as the common magic item. It counts towards your consumables. Common magic items are things like from Xanathir's Guide to Everything, those common magic items that are there, like a Cloak of Billowing or Cape of Billowing, things like that that are in Xanathar's. When you get to Tier 2, which is levels 5 through 10, you can actually bring up to 3 uncommon or higher magic items. Also, when you reach 5th level, you get to choose from the player's handbook for Adventurers League. It's a few pages document, PDF. there's a list of magic items that you can choose one of the magic items from there to add to your magic item hoard or collection. Most of it's +1 weapons, it's +1 armor, +1 shield. For the casters, you can select like for a wizard, you can select like I think there's some different things for wizards. There's like also Wand of the War Mage, Rod of the Pack Keeper for warlocks, things like that are in the player's guide for the Adventurers League, the ALPG, what they call it. But then you record all the magic items you get, and then go ahead and write down a few notes about the adventure that you were there. You can also, as I mentioned, download the pre-created PDFs. What I always like to do is I always recommend to keep them online. One of the sites that a lot of people that play Adventurers League use is called adventurersleaguelog.com. And that allows you, it has everything on there for you to keep all of your Adventurers League as a player and as a dungeon master. Allows you to keep all of that online. You can also print all of them off of there. You can save them and print them off of there as well to keep hard copies if you want to as well. But that way, you do want to keep all of your adventures logged. That way, if a DM asks you to see them, because most DMs are really cool about it. But that way, if a DM, well, there's something a little fishy, you're like, well, here's the adventure I played. Here's what we did, and you have to have proof of how many. How you got your levels, how you got your gold, how you got all of your magic items. You can also trade magic items in Adventurers League. You don't have to. You can trade them online. There's lots of different spots. There's Facebook groups, other different social media platforms where they trade magic items. In our Discord channel, we actually have a magic item channel to allow players to offer up. Hey, I've got this magic item I want to trade. Here's what I'm looking for. Again, the AO Player's Guide does explain the rules for magic item trades. You do have to spend, again, we talked about earlier, that meta currency of downtime days. You do have downtime days as part of the trading for the magic items. You don't have to be at the same table. For trading spells as wizards, or people that might have like a ritual spell book, like some different warlocks or background features that give you ritual casting, you do have to be at the same table to trade spells. And you both have to spend downtime days to trade trade spells with one another. You still have to pay the money. You still have to pay the downtime days for the copying of the spells, things of that along those lines. But all of that is explained in your AL Player's Guide as well.
I do have a question looking at the log sheet here.
Of course.
I pulled it up just to check out what you were talking about as we were going through. I see up at the top we have character name, race, class, levels, player name, faction, sheet number. What is sheet number in reference to? And also, what are soul coins?
Okay, hold on one second here, and I will explain all of that for you.
Okay. Everything else seemed really straightforward, and then it's just like, soul coins carried.
All right, sorry. I'm having an issue here with my internet. Give me 1 second. All right, so the sheet, if you look at the PDF, the sheet, you just put the sheet number, like you have 4 or 5 sheets for your character's adventures.
Oh, okay.
I've got characters that have like 35 sheets of adventures that, of course, these are level 20 Adventures League characters, but they have like 35 sheets because once you get to 20th level, which is the maximum level in 5th edition, you can continue to still play. And anytime you would gain a level, you still gain the benefits as if you would level without just as if you would decline a level. So you still get downtime days. You still get your gold from the adventures. You still get magic items that you find from the adventures. They also have something in the Adventures League called Story Awards that you might get a story award from this adventure that might have something to do with that happens later on in an adventure series, or it might happen a few years. Something that comes out a few years later that story award might apply to. Soul coins are from they originated in what in Adventures League is called Season 9, but for those that aren't familiar, that would be the hardcover Baldur's Gate Descent into Avernus. And soul coins are a form of currency used in the Nine Hells. And since that adventure takes place in the first layer of the Nine Hells, or part of it does. Obviously, the title's not giving any spoilers away. Descent into Avernus, but soul coins are used as a currency during that hardcover and during the Adventurers League adventures that were written that kind of mirror that season and that hardcover.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll definitely talk more about Adventurers League in some of our Dungeons and Deliberations. We can even do some with our Tavern Talks, the Shifty Boar. We can talk about that. We can explain a little bit more about Adventurers League. But of course, as I mentioned, in our Discord server, we do have a Adventurers League section that has a lot of the information that you need to get started as a player and a DM as well. So yeah, keeping your Adventurers League logs is fairly important. That way, if you come to a table and the DM, because there are a lot of DMs that are just really, they're fine, no worries about it. It's not a big deal. Unfortunately, you will find a few DMs that are very meticulous about wanting to see everyone's Adventurers League logs. They want to see everything. They want to make sure that you've done all of the things properly. They want to make sure that you spent the amount of downtime days in gold for copying spells, which is great. I mean, that is part of the game. You want to play the game itself, rules as written. And, of course, they want to make sure that everyone's following the Adventurers League rules. Because if you're not following the Adventurers League rules, sometimes there's a chance. It's not as big of an issue since the rules have kind of opened up a little bit in the past couple of years, which is great for the community itself. It used to be a little bit more strict back in the day, which kind of pushed a few players away from it. But now that it's opened up a lot with some of the newer rules, dropping the PHB +1 rule and opening up all of the Forgotten Realms book for the Forgotten Realms Forgotten Realms campaign, there are a couple of other campaigns for Adventurers League that what are called limited campaigns. If you're a fan of Eberron, they do have a couple of different campaigns for Eberron that the players can play. If you're a fan of Ravenloft, there's a limited campaign called Mist Hunters that you can go back. They're self-contained and only have so much content for them, but you can go back and you can play those as well. The newest limited campaign, they haven't brought out a whole bunch of information about it, but one of the groups that I work with, Baldwin Games, is doing a limited Adventurers League campaign for the Dragonlance storyline. I think they've come out with 2 or 3 adventures in an epic so far. You can play those during the virtual D&D weekends, which Baldwin Games runs along with Wizards of the Coast. I think Tuesday. You can go to yawningportal.com for tickets, and I think Tuesday is when those tickets go on sale. I'm not sure. I have to double check. But there are some different limited campaigns that you can play. Go back and play them with new characters and experience those stories as well. And they've also just come out with some new what's called dungeon craft content, which allows the community to create adventures for the Adventurers League. They do have guidance for people that want to write those types of adventures. You can get those for free on the dungeonmastersguild.com or dungeonmastersguild.com. It does have all of that content. If you want to write Spelljammer adventures, those are up there now. There's probably need to be published and written and published up on the DM's Guild by the end of the year. They just released some Ravenloft dungeon craft content, which allows people to create Adventurers League adventures for Ravenloft as well. I haven't had a chance to grab that yet because I really want to take a look at that, because Ravenloft is and the Domains of Dread is one of my favorite campaign worlds, outside, of course, of Darkson.
Yeah, I like Ravenloft. I really enjoy Ravenloft. I ran a game there for a while, and we didn't complete it. Players had to drop out for family reasons,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, I started off with just doing one of the a different type of adventure, and it fed right into Ravenloft as for the campaign Curse of Strahd.
Yeah,
It was fun for a short time, but it was
yeah.
fun.
Yeah. Angelus Truelove asked a question about how would the guest spots we were talking about earlier work with AO rules. The beautiful thing about Adventurers League, their organized play, is that it's portable. The reason why you want to keep your Adventurers League logs is that you can, like I had mentioned earlier, you can play at your local game store, play Adventurers League. You can take the character that you played as you leveled and adventured at your local game store, and you can go to a convention, or you can join players online with that character. Just make sure that you keep your Adventurers League logs with you, and following the Adventurers League rules, you'll be able to go to different places where they play Adventurers League and bring your characters along with you. How we would do it with our games is that everyone, when you create an Adventurers League character, you can create either a character at first level, or you can create a character at 5th level. So if we're playing Tier 1 adventures, you can create if we have guests come in, they could create a first level character to play along with us. If they've already got a Tier 1 Adventurers League character, they can bring that character in to play along with our Tier 1 adventures. If they haven't played Tier 2, they can create a 5th. What I mean by tiers is Tier 1 is 1st through 4th level. Tier 2 is 5th through 10th level. Tier 3 is 11th through 16th. And Tier 4 is 17th through 20th. It basically kind of sets up the power levels of how powerful the adventurers are versus the monsters and the adventures that they can play. So people coming in as guests, if they have an established Adventurers League character, they can play with that. If they don't, since only one adventure in the Keys from the Golden Vault is for Tier 3, which is the very last adventure, which is supposed to be for level 11, which is the start of Tier 3. It allows anyone to come in. They might have to come in with a first level character, which, of course, if they do, we'll be mindful of that as the DM and as the other players. That the other person might be a bit squishier than everyone else. If they come in to Tier 2, if they have a Tier 2 character, they can bring that into play. If they don't, and they want to create a 5th level character, they can create a 5th level character to start with Tier 2 and be able to play as well. Again, if you create a 5th level character, you can also select a magic item from that list that's in the AO Player's Guide as well. So hopefully that will answer your question about bringing in guests for the adventures. So speaking of settings, I think we have our session 0 pretty much winding down since everyone has their characters. We got to still come up with, get some character art, as I mentioned, gentlemen. Put that in our Discord. I'll go ahead and get some tokens made for us. And then next week, we will have a brand new Roll20 room with Keys from the Golden Vault in there. But for a little bit other context, let's go with each one of you and talk about your favorite campaign setting for Dungeons and Dragons. What about you, Design Lizard? What's your favorite setting for D&D?
Wow. I have to say, because of the people, it was our entire run through the Candlekeep Mysteries, and that 100% was a nod to the people that showed up, because we got lucky. We bought a Baldwin Game Pass, and it was like the first 3 adventures, same DM, same party, and the random group of us, not knowing each other, all bought that. We ended up with some guy named the Master of Dungeons, Mitch, as our DM, and we had so much fun that we begged Baldwin to reincorporate their little red carpet where you could buy a block. I kind of picture like Richard Pryor in The Toy. We bought Mitch over and over again for the weekend, and it was the same group of players from the first page of the book to the last page of the book. And it was amazing to go a year and a half with that group. And we did other stuff in between, and we did other adventures together. Most of us ran through all of the Strixhaven together with the same group, all with Mitch. But that Candlekeep was fun, and I like how that book was independent adventures that could be strung together, kind of like the Keys to the Golden Vault. So
that did take us all over the Sword Coast and even into the plains a little bit during the Candlekeep mystery stuff. What about you, Otter? What's one of your favorite campaign worlds?
Oh, I don't know about campaign worlds personally. Most of the games I've played have been homebrew creations.
Oh, that's cool. Tell us about some of that.
I've dabbled in a little bit into Wild Beyond the Witchlight, but due to some life reasons, that campaign is on hiatus.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as the far-reaching settings, the Forgotten Realms and the Dragonlance settings, for me, are what I grew up on. That's what got me into fantasy in the first place. So I haven't had a chance to play in those settings yet, but they always hold a special place for me.
Oh, very nice. Yeah. And I know you had mentioned, Don Shan, that you were a fan of Ravenloft, but what's do you like the Kalmar or Birthright, Aethys and Dark Sun, Greyhawk, Blackmoor? What's one of your favorites?
Well, after playing for so many years, I've played a bunch of different ones, and I think as a teen, and later on as the books keep coming out, I really love a lot of the ones I've played, and even some of the ones I've played recently, especially some of the content that Wizards have put out. But look out! It's called Dragonlance. It's the world of Kryn. I read many of those books growing up, and I fell in love with that world. And now I'm able to revisit that world, as in instead of going to the old modules, I can go with the newer content and newer game. And I'm really partial to that one. I really enjoy the Forgotten Realms. That's where I've been a lot, for a lot of my gaming. I even went to Greyhawk and, of course, the Dread Realms and other campaigns. But I'd have to say Dragonlance. Yeah, I'm a big fan.
Heading to Kryn.
Yes, I'm actually running a game on Monday nights.
One of these days, I'm going to dive into a Dragonlance game, and I'm so ready for
it. Cool.
Yeah, we were debating, for those of you watching, we were debating whether or not we were going to do the new Dragonlance campaign. But we thought about the release time of when we were starting the Master of Dungeons platforms, and went ahead and decided, hey, Keys from the Golden Vault is coming out. So we decided to go ahead and do the session 0 tonight. That way, next Sunday, we'll be playing that brand new content. So if you want to follow along, that's up to you. If you don't want to read ahead and want to be surprised, that's cool too. We just ask that for those of you that are watching, do your best not to put any spoilers in there. We do have our chat rules down below. So far, everyone's been really, really great about interacting in the chat. That's awesome. But yeah, like I said, we do have our link tree down below that does have all of our socials if you want to like, subscribe, or follow us on any of those. As I mentioned, also, you can join our Discord community server below. We do have a Patreon as well. We're still working on those tiers to put up on our Patreon. But we will get those up here hopefully in the next couple of weeks. And of course, our website, masterdungeons.com, that is going to be getting a few updates and a couple of overhauls over the next few weeks as well. Is there anything else, Otter, you might want to add, or Dan, after that? We'll go through each one of you. Have anything else to add?
I do have to say that Angelus True Love is his campaign is absolutely my favorite real life in person at a table campaign. Please don't kill me next time we get together.
Honestly, on my end, everything was pretty straightforward. I'm gonna have to sit down and put some time into my backstory, but that's more of a me thing than a question thing. But no, I think I'm all set.
Yeah. Don, anything else to add before we sign off? This is getting close to our finishing up.
No, it's just great. I'd like to, thank the viewers and thank the comments. They were, like I said, they were cracking me up earlier. There was some pretty good comments tonight, and the things we went through and throwing the chaos and the dice rolls in there. I've enjoyed it. So no, I don't have anything else besides just thanks for watching.
Yeah, thanks everyone, and we apologize. Thank you to our couple of new followers. We had Vazaru 88, Wretched Cuts. We appreciate you following. I'm still learning to watch the chat and watch what we're doing and work on everything at the same time, but we will get better at that. We don't have anything. If you notice, we're going to add a few things to our layouts and such. Otter mentioned earlier, making sure that we put up a timer on our intermissions. That way you'll all be able to follow how long, if you come in to a stream and you see our intermission up, it'll give you an idea of how long it's going to be before we'll be back. We do start every session of our streams with a stream starting soon that will have be able to allow people that might get in a little late to get in before we start with the content. And then, of course, we do have our outro. We're eventually going to add stuff, as I mentioned during our announcement stream. Everything's going to evolve. We're going to learn as we go through. And thank you all for following. I hope you're going to help to witness those growth pains as we're working on everything. But we really do appreciate you taking time out of your day to check out the stream. And our next stream is going to be on Tuesday evening at 6 p.m. Eastern Time. It's called Dungeons and Deliberations. It will be me interacting with our chat, talking about probably a little bit about Adventurers League, if anyone has questions, and then probably, without giving spoilers away, the new book, Keys from the Golden Vault. And we'll, again, think of some questions you might have. If you want to ask me about DM questions, about my experiences as a DM, that'll work too. And then our next stream after that will be that's on Tuesday. Then Wednesday, we'll have our Tavern Talks with Shifty Boar. We're going to figure out who's going to be on there with me this week, sometime in the next couple of days. And then, of course, we do have a couple of live video game streams. You can find that all on our schedules down below us. Those are all up live right now as well. But other than that, I think that might put us towards the end of the stream for tonight. So anything else for anyone? We all good?
I think we're all
right.
set.
Good to go.
All good?
Yeah.
Thanks, everybody.
Right. Thanks, everyone, for watching, and take care. We'll see you next time, and happy adventuring. Bye.
All right. See you guys.